Kitsunes Power by TheBeardedOne. Chapter 8 Equipment and Deployment. Welcome to Higarashi's Weapons Naruto. Hi, Ten. Naruto called. Anko-sensei, this is Ten. She's one of Gai-sensei's students. Ten-chan, this is Mitarashi Anko, my Jonin-sensei. Anko nodded, then looked round. This will take a while. What will? Anko wants me to have a close-range weapon. Naruto said. I want a naginata. No. Ten said firmly. A naginata wouldn't work for you, you'd probably snap it in the middle of battle. Anko laughed as Naruto sulked. You've probably got a better chance of finding something for Gaki here, so I'll leave you two to it. I hear Dango calling me. Gaki, find me after you've got a weapon that works for you. Ten and Naruto watched her leave, then swapped glances. Let me get my dad in, then we go to the storehouse and see what might work. Naruto gazed round at the vast collection with a sense of mounting awe. Looking round, he moved towards a rack of swords, only for Ten to grab him by the shoulder. No. But I want a sword. Swords are cool. No. Ten said firmly. A sword wouldn't work for you, you're too strong for a sword, you'd break them. Any sword strong enough to withstand being used by you would have to be custom-made and very heavy, and I need to talk to Anko. Let's go. Naruto couldn't understand how, despite his awesome strength, Ten was able to tow him out of the shop without any apparent effort. Welcome back. Come in. It's ready. Sorry it took so long to make. Naruto almost bounced through the door, Anko following at a slower pace as she finished her dango. This way. Dad made it specially, he used Thunderbolt Iron to make it for extra strength and chakra metal so that you could use your elemental wind chakra. It's perfect for you. Did the payment cover it all? Anko asked and Ten nodded. Yep, just. Anyway, it's through here, we made a sheath for it with a reinforced strap, but you'll have to practice drawing it. What do you think? Anko stared in shock at the weapon in front of her. It was metal, it had a handle, but it was what is that? Ten grinned at Anko's shocked question. This is the strongest sword in the world. The handle is reinforced with ninja wire along it for grip and to stop it breaking in combat. The blade is thicker than a normal sword with a modified wedge cross-section and a reinforced tip, allowing you to hit harder with it, and if you place it against something and hit the back, it'll allow you to break through almost anything. The blade isn't very sharp under normal circumstances, but if you channel wind chakra through, the result is an edge that can cut anything except another chakra blade. Anko reached down and grabbed the handle. Channeling chakra to her muscles, she tried to lift it. Damn, it's heavy. I can barely move it. Ten nodded and waved for Naruto to try. He grabbed it and lifted it one-handed, causing Anko's eyes to widen in shock. This is really cool. Can I try it out? There's a practice yard out the back. Naruto bounced out into the yard, the weight of the sword not slowing him down in the slightest, and Anko scrambled after him, hearing Ten laughing behind her. She got through the door just in time to see Naruto raise the sword almost lazily above a giant boulder, then bring it down almost gently. The boulder shattered. Wow. Anko whispered as Naruto examined the blade. Not a single chip, I like it. Anko stood motionless as Naruto bounced back inside. After a few minutes, her mind restarted and she found herself staring at a worried Ten. Are you all right? That is not a sword. Anko stated in a shocked voice. That is a metal tetsubo with an edge. Ten laughed. Yep, pretty much. But it works. Anko stared at the younger girl. Do you have any idea how much damage he could do with that thing? He could take down a freaking castle wall with a single okami, this'll be great. Hey, Naruto! Ten shouted. What are you going to call that? The Kitsune's claw? Yap. Naruto said between mouthfuls of ramen. My dagger's called the Kitsune's Fong, and my sword is bigger, so Kitsune's Claw. I like it. Kyubi said, and if you want, I can push some yukai into it to make it even stronger. Maybe even give it a special ability or two. At the very least, an internal summoning seal so you can call it into your hand without having to worry about unsheathing it. Really? Thanks. Naruto replied silently. Not a bad name, Gaki. Anko said after a moment's thought. And to anyone from Konoha, at least, it's a very scary name. Can't wait to use it on a mission. Naruto smirked. A proper mission, not another D-rank. Hey, don't diss the D-ranks. Anko smirked. I thought you loved them. Snatching Tora before the other teams could grab her, ambushing them on their grocery shopping, switching out the paint and seeing how long it takes for them to notice the fence is the wrong color, all good practice for when we hit the field. At least you got permission from the other Jonin-sanseis first. Naruto laughed. I still remember Niji's face when he realized that he was pulling a stuffed toy along instead of the dog he'd started out with. So much for the all-seeing Byakugan. Anko chuckled. How you pulled off the trick the second time, I still don't know. His scream when he saw one of your tigers with the leash going into its mouth, who knew he could sound so girly? Kaze found it very amusing. Naruto snickered. So did I. And Gai-sensei. It is fated that you shall not succeed in doing that again. Eek! Anko quoted with a laugh. From behind them, Kaze gave a rumbling purr and Anko reached back and quickly scratched him between his ears. Still amazes me how you understand them so well. Anko admitted with a smirk. It's like watching an Inuzuka pair, only they're bigger. I can't help thinking I'd look even more awesome in samurai armor when riding one of them. Naruto admitted. Probably just my imagination, I mean, plate armor wouldn't last long on me, but damn, it would look cool. Anko nodded as she shared his mental image, then she turned to look at her student. Gaki, you've been doing great so far. Your taijutsu is excellent, your ninjutsu way more advanced than it should be. Hack, you're pretty much at special jonin level as is, and we haven't even had an out-of-village mission yet. My eternal friend and rival. I have returned from my most youthful mission and am overjoyed to see you. Naruto spun round, his face lighting up as he searched for the source of the familiar voice. Lee Senpai. Your flames of youth bring light to Konoha now you've returned. Anko froze in shock. This was a side to Naruto that she had never seen before, yet something told her that it was as genuine as the side she had seen up until now. I heard about the most unyouthful decision of the council, denying Kakashi-sensei the right to take you as an apprentice, but I see you have a Hitaiate, so you can still show your youthful passions in becoming a ninja. May I ask who your sensei is? And where are your teammates? I am the sole genin assigned as apprentice to the most youthful yet very scary jonin Mitarashi Anko, who is seated just here. Naruto said. Anko gave a slight wave, her gaze transfixed on Lee's eyebrows. Lee grinned at her, his teeth sparkling. I am heading out to train, my flames of youth are reaching previously unimagined heights. Lee proclaimed. I am very glad that you have become a true ninja, as I always believed you would be. Thanks, Lee Senpai. Naruto-ni-chan. Lee Senpai. Naruto-ni-chan. Lee Senpai. To Anko's horror, her student and guys embraced to the background of crashing waves as the sun set behind their display of youthfulness. For almost a minute, Anko remained frozen in shock, then she twitched a few times before exhaling sharply. Ensai? Anko-sensei, are you all right? Anko took several deep breaths. How did you two do that? That was the unbreakable sunset genjutsu. Only Guy can do that. Naruto scratched the back of his head, looking embarrassed. Lee and Guy perform it so often that Lee knows what it feels like, but can't do it on his own because of his chakra problem. So when we do it, I kind of push my chakra through his chakra coils and he shapes it into the sunset genjutsu. The first time we used it on Guy, he was weeping with joy for an hour over how we had proven we were capable of mastering our youthful flames, or something like that. Anko stared at her student in shock. What he and Lee had done was impossible. By any rational type of logic, it just could not be done that way. But it had. I think that I need to talk to Guy. Anko muttered. She could feel a headache coming on. The sunset genjutsu faded away and Guy's expression was a complex mix of pride, astonishment and total confusion. You are right, Anko-san. Now that you mention it, that should not be possible. What do you mean? Naruto asked, perplexed. Lee can't use his chakra, so he uses mine instead. How is that so strange? Because Lee-kun's coils prevent him from using chakra at all. They are deformed, so chakra cannot pass through them. For him to be able to guide and shape your chakra like that, his coils would have to Niji. Use your eyes on Lee, now. Niji backed away from his sparring with Tenten and jogged over. Standing by Guy, he activated his Byakugan and gasped in shock. What do you see? Lee's coils. They're not as twisted as they were. He's got chakra flowing. How much chakra? Anko demanded and Niji shook his head in disbelief. At the moment, about as much as an academy student. He said slowly. But his coils, they look as if they are becoming less tangled? I don't understand. How is this possible? Anko and Guy looked at each other and then, in perfect unison, turned to look at Naruto, who grinned nervously. Give me a moment to think. He said. Kyubi-san, are you there? And where else would I be, Kit? Kyubi responded sarcastically. Before you ask, I have a theory. Your chakra is tinged with my yukai, even after filtering through the seal. Yukai normally has a bad effect on chakra coils, weakening them, so since Lee was born with overly rigid tenketsu, thus preventing the flow of chakra through them, then weakening the coils makes them more flexible and allows chakra to flow properly. Naruto mentally exclaimed. Kyubi-sama, you are a genius. One tries. Naruto reopened his eyes and looked round. I think it's to do with my special chakra. If I remember correctly, Lee's tenketsu were too rigid, my chakra probably loosened them a bit. I guess this means Lee and I need to stop doing that genjutsu. We don't want to risk ruining his newfound chakra abilities. Lee hugged Naruto as hard as he could, then released him and held him at arm's length. Naruto-kun, your flames of youthfulness have given me the chance to raise my youthfulness to a new level. Thank you. Thank you. Before Naruto could respond, he found himself in an even tighter hug, this one courtesy of Guy. Naruto-kun, you have reignited my student's potential, bringing his flames of youth to a veritable conflagration. Lee-kun, I can now teach you the henge, kawarimi, bunshin and how to tree and water walk, increasing the youthfulness of your skills. And at last, I can let you sign the turtle contract. Naruto-kun, I can never repay you for what you have done. If you wish, I shall even instruct you in the Goken. Guy. Lee. Air. Both Guy and Lee released Naruto and he dropped to the ground, gasping for breath. After a few minutes, he stood up and shook his head. Guy-sensei, the Goken is your style, yours and Lee's. I would not take that away from you. But Lee, I think that this is worth at least 2 victories in our competitions, don't you? Yash, I can learn at least 6 new techniques all because of you, so I concede 6 victories, meaning that you are at 794 wins to my 790. Rest assured, I shall catch up. Naruto grinned widely. I look forwards to your next challenge, Lee-senpai. Yo, Gaki! Anko shouted. Get your shit together and get ready, we have a mission. A cry of really? Echoed and Naruto leaped out of the lower stairwell, a wide grin on his face. A mission, really? Yap. Anko said, opening the cupboard that she had placed by the main door and pulling out her pre-packed mission pack. Kakashi wants your help, seems the C rank he and his team took is actually an A rank. Bring your sword. Naruto held out both hands and Anko's eyes widened as his dagger appeared in his left hand and his sword appeared in his right. Naruto placed the dagger along his left thigh and his sword to his back, both of the blades adhering without any visible sign of support. That's a good trick, Gaki. Anko said slowly. Okay, we're heading for wave. Any last-minute thoughts before we go? Naruto grinned, then unleashed a high-pitched whistle. Anko grinned widely. Oh, Gaki. She said almost reverently. If only we'd met sooner. Chapter 9, Rising Wave. Copycat Kakashi, the man who knows 1,000 jutsu. The masked figure standing on the embedded sword stated. Kakashi glared up at his newest adversary. Momochi Zabuza, demon of the bloody mist and master of the silent killing technique. He responded. I assume that you are here for a reason? I'm here to kill that old man, Tazuna. Zabuza stated. You may be able to slow me down, but those 3 brats of yours are good as dead already. Kakashi frowned and slowly pulled out his kunai as Zabuza leapt off his perch and pulled the sword out of the tree. A moment later, a thick mist rose, cutting everyone's vision to less than arm's length, and Zabuza's voice echoed menacingly. 8 choices. Liver, lungs, spine, clavicle vein, jugular vein, brain, kidneys, heart. Which one should I go after? Sakura gulped nervously, trying to see through the fog. Sasuke wiped the sweat off his forehead and Sai unsheathed his tanto. Where is he? Sakura whispered. I wouldn't worry about him. Anko said, causing both Sasuke and Sakura to scream with shock while Sai inhaled sharply. Anko-san? Where the hell did you come from? Sakura gasped, hands pressed to her chest as she tried to stop hyperventilating. Just got here. Anko smirked, finishing off her dango and hurling the stick into the mist. A second later, there was a faint ting as it bounced off something metal. Came with some serious reinforcements. Yo, Kaze, time to live up to your name. There was a breathless silence and Anko clasped her hands over her ears, nodding for them to do the same. An instant later, the air seemed to tremble, then a massive roar sounded, the blast of air accompanying it blasting the mist away as a harsh clang announced that 2 swords had met. Zabuza stared in shock at the young blonde who had effortlessly blocked his killing stroke. Naruto. Kakashi said in a relieved voice as he lowered his Hitaiate back over his Sharingan. You'll want to be careful, Zabuza is a Kenjutsu master. Like Genma-san. I got it, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto grinned. Okay, browless, let's dance. Zabuza tried to push Naruto's sword away, but his answer was a sudden thrust that launched him backwards. Kakashi ambled back to his team as Naruto and Zabuza slashed at each other. Shouldn't you be doing something to help him? Kakashi asked curiously. Anko shook her head. Nah, Gaki learns best by doing. Going up against Zabuza, that's like a week's intensive Kenjutsu training in less than an hour. Besides, he's got his clones watching from all around, like that squirrel there. He's learning Zabuza's style. Zabuza blurred past, chasing Naruto who slashed a pair of trees, causing them to fall inwards and forcing Zabuza to slow down as he cut his way through them. He's good at using the environment in his favor. Kakashi noted. How did you get here so fast? His cats gave us a lift. Anko said almost absently as she pulled out another stick of dango. Kaze got rid of the mist, and they're waiting over there. Naruto charged by, slashing at a frantically evading Zabuza. That Kekkai Genkai of his never ceases to amaze me. Kakashi noted. His stamina is unreal. Hey, Zabuza! Naruto doesn't tire easily, he can fight for a full day before slowing. I didn't need to know that. Zabuza roared back as Naruto's attacks sent him skidding across the surface of the lake. How the hell is this brat so strong? Whoa! Blood limit. Super strength. Anko called back. So, Kakashi, these are brats you were complaining about? Emo duckbutt, pink banshee and inky idiot? Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Sai respectively, yes. Kakashi replied, ignoring the killing glares that two of his team were directing at Anko. They're my wow, nice move, Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun? Sasuke grumbled. How does that dope deserve being called kun? I don't see you defeating Zabuza. Kakashi replied and Sasuke glared at him, then gave Sakura a confused look as she remained silent rather than speaking up in his favor. Sakura was staring at Naruto with a terrified expression as Naruto managed to block every one of Zabuza's attacks. Think we should step in yet? Anko asked and Kakashi shook his head. Not unless Zabuza tries anything other than Kenjutsu. He said. You said it yourself, this fight is a real learning experience for Naruto. I hope you three are paying attention. Kakashi ducked as Zabuza was sent flying overhead, smashing through a tree. Naruto punched the falling tree out of the way and quickly blocked Zabuza's attack as he flew through the air in a prodigious leap, but Zabuza swung his sword and hurled him through another tree. Zabuza paused, breathing deeply and looking at Naruto with a confused expression. That is not a normal sword, kid. He said slowly. Twice I've knocked it out of your hands, and each time you summoned it back. How? Kakashi glanced at Anko, who shrugged. I'm awesome that way. Naruto grinned, rising to his feet and spinning his sword one-handed before settling into the same stance that Zabuza had used at the start of the fight. You have one hell of a healing factor too. Zabuza mused as the cut on Naruto's arm finished closing. Who are you? Kagetora Naruto. Came the reply. First of my line and soon-to-be clan head. First of your line? Zabuza echoed. Who were your parents? Naruto snarled. Legally, I never had parents. Orphan at birth. No mother, no father. Pretty much everyone in Konoha knows who they were, but due to the damned council and the bastard who raided a certain house, I am legally clanless. Sakura gulped and moved behind Sasuke. Tough break, kid. Zabuza said, lowering his sword slightly. Once all this is over, how about I take you on as an apprentice? Your style stinks, but your reflexes are amazing. Naruto grinned. Sorry, but me and my senseis have other plans. Care to surrender now? Or will you try your luck against a supercharged genin and a pair of jonin? Before Zabuza could answer, a pair of sunbon seemed to sprout from his neck, causing him to collapse bonelessly. A masked figure dropped down beside him. I thank you for distracting him long enough for me to get into position. The figure said. Now, I must dispose of the body. The figure vanished along with Zabuza's corpse and Kakashi turned back towards his team before he noted Naruto sniffing suspiciously at the spot where Zabuza had collapsed. What is that dope doing? Sasuke half-asked, half-sneered. Sakura stifled a scream as a giant white and black shape seemed to materialize out of the woods and joined the blonde. The boy and the cat continued sniffing at the area for a few more seconds, then the Naruto whispered something and the cat shook its head. Sensei, Zabuza's not dead. There's no death scent. What? Kakashi half-shouted. But we saw the Senbon hit Dam. False death state. Anko groaned, slapping herself on her forehead. How the hell did we both miss that? Cammy, we'll never live that down. Excuse me, but what is it? Sakura asked, keeping both Anko and Kakashi between herself and the irritated Naruto. Zabuza's still alive. Kakashi sighed. The Hunter Nin was obviously his assistant and used Senbon to send him into a false death state before fleeing with him. We've been duped. The only good point is that it'll take at least a week for him to recover, so we have some time to train you three up. Tazuna, I think we should get going. More giant tigers seemed to materialize out of the trees as Naruto leapt onto the back of the first one. Climb on, they'll carry us the rest of the way, we'll get there faster. Sasuke glared at Anko. Emo duckbutt? Naruto was impressed. Most people, upon opening their front door and seeing a half-dozen-plus giant tigers, would have screamed, slammed the door shut and piled up the furniture while swearing in panic. Tsunami had nearly blinked a few times, then inquired politely if it was possible for the tigers to remain outside since she was unsure if they were housebroken, and she didn't know if the floor was strong enough to support them. Anko and Kakashi found it hilarious, especially when all the tigers, after a quick series of growls, snarls, yelps and purrs, all nodded and settled down in front of the house. Once inside, Kakashi glanced over at his students. "Sensei," Sakura said carefully, "what do we do? Will Zabuza return?" "Probably, but not for at least a week," Anko said, pulling out a small scroll and unsealing a plate of dango. Tossing a stick to Naruto, she bit into her dango with a sigh of pleasure. Going into a scrumph false death state screws the body up. It'll be a week at least before he's back to battle ready. Gives us time to get you brats to a level that'll give you a chance of living through this. Anko's right, Kakashi said. For the next week, you are going to get trained. Basic chakra control and taijutsu practice. We'll start with tree walking tomorrow. What? Anko half shouted. You went on a C rank without even teaching them the basics? I was trying to hammer teamwork into them. Kakashi protested, much to Naruto's amusement. The emo is insistent that the others will slow him down and he can do better alone. The Pinky is a total fangirl and is thus currently totally useless, and Inky is so maladjusted that I'm amazed he's survived this long. If it hadn't been for the damned council forcing me to pass them and not do anything they consider harsh, they would have failed and been chucked out of the academy. Naruto burst into howls of laughter and Kakashi paled as he realized that his 3 genin were staring at him, 2 of them with betrayed expressions. Anko smirked. I made no promises, so how about this? You and Naruto go and find where this Gato that Tazuna mentioned has his headquarters. I'll drill the terrible trio in the basics. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Anko's feral grin and both shuddered. Kakashi placed his chin on his hand. Try not to hurt them too much, I need them to still be mobile in a week. Anko pouted, then slapped Naruto's head. Calm down, Gaki. It's not their fault that they're so pathetic. You know how most of the academy teachers were trying to screw up your education, these 3 Pinky and Emo, just got caught in the splash. Since Pinky is from a civilian family and Emo decided to refuse any external help in favor of training badly by himself, neither of them could compensate. How Emo got the Rookie of the Year award, I don't know. Probably council interference. So, you and Kakashi, and your tigers, go searching for Gato and find out what he's planning. Rich scum like him are always seeking ways of spending less. It wouldn't surprise me if he's planning on backstabbing Zabuza. Probably something like hiring a load of thugs and sending them to kill Zabuza after he's worn himself out trying to take us down. Naruto nodded slowly. That's dirty, underhanded, devious from what I've heard about Gato, I'd agree. Then it's agreed, Kakashi said brightly. Tomorrow, you and I will set off to see if we can find Gato's headquarters while Anko trains my students in my absence. With my skills and your clones, we should be able to cover quite a bit of ground. Why did you suddenly look guilty when I mentioned clones? Kaze and I were experimenting with what we could do, Naruto muttered. I think that the tigers may have learned the Kage Bunshin. On the plus side, if I do a henge after linking my chakra to Kaze's, I turn into a tiger too. I think I need to see what you've been getting up to, Kakashi said after a long silence. On the plus side, what you've done may count as clan techniques, so you don't need to worry about teaching them to anyone for some time. Can the tigers turn into humans? Naruto shook his head. Nah, they're happy as they are. They don't see human form as being anywhere near as perfect as they are, and I guess they do have a bit of a point. Anko laughed out loud as Kakashi smiled behind his mask. Chapter 10, Teamwork. All right maggots, time to start your training, Anko yelled as she hurled a bucketful of water over the sleeping genin. All 3 almost catapulted themselves out of their blankets as the icy cold water sluiced down on them, shocking them from their slumber. As all three scrambled upright, Anko put the bucket down. "All right, listen up, scumbags. Kakashi's gone, and left you three in my tender hands, and because of certain considerations, he hasn't been able to teach you like he wanted to. That means that I'm going to hammer what you need to learn into you. You will hate me, you will curse me, you will come to know me as the most sadistic bitch in the world, and I will lap up every second of your suffering and cause you to suffer more. Now get outside, it's time for early morning calisthenics, and the one who does worst gets to be my new Senbon target. Move." Anko stepped back, raising her kunai so that she could lick its edge, but the trio had already fled. With a grin guaranteed to give nightmares to anyone who saw it, she ambled after them. "All right, you scumbags," Anko growled as she prowled around the three genin, two of whom were almost paralyzed with fear and the third obviously disturbed by her actions. "Kakashi told me what he was doing, and you three are the worst possible excuse for a team I've ever seen. He's tried to get you to learn teamwork, and failed big time, so since the gentle approach has failed, and since the council is preventing him from using harsher methods himself, he's left you to me. And I was trained by the biggest, most sadistic bastard ever, and now I get to do it to you." Sakura gulped and Anko's grin somehow became even more cruel as she strode over to a nearby tree and walked up its trunk, pausing briefly before walking back down. That was the tree climbing exercise. You do it by channeling chakra to your feet. Too much, you get blasted off. Too little, you slip down. You will start now, and if I think you are giving it less than your all. The three genin watched with wide eyes as Anko threw a kunai that sliced through an arm-sized branch, causing it to fall to the ground. "What the fuck are you three waiting for? The trees are there, move." They moved. A small noise alerted Anko to the fact that she wasn't the only one outside the house, and she turned to see Tsunami looking at her worriedly. "Aren't you being a little harsh on them?" Anko sighed and dropped her normal psychotic persona act. "Better that I'm harsh to them now and they learn what they need to, rather than going soft on them like the civilian council wants and letting them all get killed because they've overestimated their skills and decided to fight rather than retreat. We're ninja. Soldiers of Konoha. There are so many things that can kill a ninja, or end a ninja's career, that it isn't even funny, and it's worse for Kunoichi. These three need to learn that they aren't Kami's gift to the world, that they can be hurt, injured and possibly killed no matter what they do. They need to find their limits, so that they can work out how to improve them or work around them. If I don't push them now, force them to get stronger and more resilient, then when they face an enemy, they'll just break." Tsunami looked rather disturbed, but she nodded slowly. "I think I see. How much training will you give them?" Anko snorted. "As much as they can take, then a little bit more to force them to improve. You don't know how bad they are, how the civilian council screwed with the academy to try and make it easier to pass. Their class, only 9 passed the final tests, the ones set by ninja rather than civilians. 9 out of over 36. And all but 1 were from a clan, even if Gaki's been denied his." "Gaki?" "Naruto." Anko sighed. Pretty much everyone knows about his burden, although most blame him for it even though it wasn't his fault. And the civilian council declared that the man everyone knew was his father, hell, was proven to be his father by blood testing, was no relation to him at all. Apparently they were trying to snag him for a private shinobi group that answers to the council, but they misjudged what their actions would do and realized too late that by cutting his links, he had no reason to stay and was too powerful for them to prevent leaving. Wish I'd been there to see the look on their faces, especially since the old man would have defended Naruto's right to leave. Anyway, Naruto's the shinobi's shinobi. Trained by the best ninjutsu master and the best taijutsu master of Konoha, with lessons from several others and enough strength to throw a tree like a kunai. That sword of his? Solid metal, heavier than steel, yet he waves it around like it was paper. He's a one-man army. These three? They're still not even recruits. Excuse me. Tsunami watched as Anko strode off, yelling at the trio of genin. Oh Kami, that woman's a monster. Sasuke groaned as he slumped down at the table and started to devour the plate of food in front of him. She's Naruto's sensei. Sakura shivered and Sasuke looked at her strangely. Why are you so fixated on that dobe? My mother was one of those who voted for his heritage to be stripped from him, Sakura whimpered. I am scared he may decide to make me have a training accident, and it scares me when he's near. The council decided that despite all evidence to the contrary, Naruto was not the son of the Yandame Hokage and the red-hot habanero. Sai said tiredly from where he was sitting, having just finished his food. He has since, with the help of the Hokage, declared that he is the founder of a new clan, the Shadows of the Tiger, and claimed the Rasengan as his clan jutsu. Until recently, he has been working on adding an elemental component to it. And how do you know that? Sasuke asked as Sakura hunched in on herself. I deployed some ink mice to watch him. Sai said with a slight shrug. I felt it was best to keep an eye on Dickless. Sakura froze. Hold on, you call me ugly? And Sasuke smiles, so if you call Naruto, how big is he? Sai held his hands up and Sakura's eyes almost bulged out of their sockets. No way. He's that big. Wait, Hinata Byakugan sees through things. Oh Kami, that's why she went after him. Actually, she fell in love with him before she had learned how to use the Byakugan. A scarily familiar voice said from behind them. I've managed to talk to her when she was watching Naruto train, and it was his refusal to quit that got her attention. I wonder if Kakashi's told the idiot about how Hinata feels about him. Those two could make a great pair. The three genin sat in shocked silence for a moment, then an evil chuckle caused them to tense. Of course, if you've got enough energy to gossip, you have enough to train. Back to the trees. Now. With a yelp of fear, Sakura catapulted herself away from the table and scrambled through the door, Sasuke and Sai behind her. Anko smirked and concentrated for a moment, producing a Kage Bunshin and sending it outside before turning to the stairs. You may as well come out, kid. I know you're there. There was a deep silence from the top of the stairs. Come on down. I won't hurt you, and I think you need to talk. For another minute, nothing happened, then the figure at the top of the staircase slowly descended. Inari, right? Anko asked. We didn't really get to introduce ourselves. I'm Anko. You look like you've been through some rough times. What do you know about it? Inari grumbled and Anko laughed, earning a shocked glance. About your situation? Nothing except what your mother told me. But I know all about rough times. Sit, it's time for you to learn. Inari sullenly sat down. I know all about suffering. When I was young, I was the student of Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, the three strongest ninja in Konoha. I, a simple orphan, was his apprentice, learning from him jutsu and fighting styles. But I was young and naive. I didn't know just how twisted and cruel he was, but when his experiments on kidnapped orphans were discovered, experiments which were almost always lethal, he fled. And like a good little apprentice, I went with him. And that was the biggest mistake I ever made. He had no one else to experiment on, so he experimented on me. Poisons, jutsu. I still have the damned curse seal that he placed on me, just here. It means that if I try to use too much chakra, it reacts and causes incredible pain, and Orochi team can trigger the damned thing whenever he wants. Eventually, he abandoned me. I wasn't evil enough for him, so he threw me away like a piece of trash. I managed to get back to Konoha, where almost everyone treated me like shit for having been taught by that bastard. I had no family and, at first, no friends. Eventually, a Chunin named Kurenai managed to become my first true friend, and through her, I met several others. I hold them close to me and they helped me to get past what that bastard did. Anko paused and saw Inari's expression. My story's bad, but Naruto's? His is worse. On the day he was born, a monster attacked Konoha. Only the chakra of a newborn could be used to defeat the monster, but the villagers didn't understand what had happened, and instead of seeing Naruto as a hero, they saw him as the monster reborn. The fact that both his parents were killed in the attack didn't help. When he was only 4, he was thrown out of the orphanage. Not that it had made much difference, they were too scared to actually hurt him, but what they did was worse. They ignored him and locked him in an empty room for the slightest reason. By the time he was thrown out, he was malnourished and had learned less than children half his age, because no one wanted to talk to him. Then some bastard threw a rock at him and his Kekkai Genkai activated, giving him incredible reflexes and strength. The downside? No control. It took over 5 years, and the constant training of 2 elite ninja, a taijutsu master and a ninjutsu master, before he got to the point where he could safely give someone a hug without accidentally breaking their ribs or spine. And then his lineage was revealed. His father had been a great warrior, renowned across the lands, and his mother a kunoichi almost as famous. But the civilians on Konoha's council refused to believe that one they saw as a monster could be the son of their greatest heroes, so they passed a law stripping his lineage away from him and removing the money that he should have inherited. And he couldn't stop them because someone had tried to steal his father's techniques, and the resulting fire had destroyed the documents proving who he was. You think you have it bad? Trust me, kid, you still have family who care for you. You still have a home and you aren't hated by everyone. You have it easy. Think about it, Naruto and I went through hell and we still carry on. You've had it harsh, but compared to us Inari froze and Anko strode to the door. You need to get a grip, kid. Don't try to forget the bad things, but concentrate on what you still have. And think about what you'll do to protect them. Inari didn't move as Anko closed the door behind her. Anko stared at the trio in the dawnlight. Good news, maggots. Today, you only do tree climbing if you feel like it. I have something else planned. A lesson in stamina, evasion skills and the need to learn to move fast. And it's called Holy Shit. Don't get eaten by the giant summons. Kuchios no Jutsu. A large cloud of smoke formed and dissipated to reveal a giant snake. Anko lazily pointed. Get them. The snake lunged forwards and all 3 genin sprinted off, Sakura screaming in fear while Sasuke left some liquid behind. Anko smirked and moved to the porch, leaning against one of the support pillars. How likely are they to get eaten? Tsunami asked from behind her and Anko snorted. They won't. I asked my summons to chase them, scare them, maybe bash them a little, but he won't actually eat them. Just make them think he will. I promised Kakashi I wouldn't kill them. Tsunami paused as a silent yet incredibly scared Sasuke dashed past, the summoned snake striking at the ground just behind him. Do you do this sort of training to Naruto? Anko chuckled. Naruto would uppercut any summons I called straight back to their world, or use that giant blade of his. Gaki's a total powerhouse, he just needs to learn to control it. Nah, speed, stamina and strength ain't a problem with Gaki, it's control that's the issue, and he's got quite good at it. His reflexes are so boosted that I can't even hit him with my shadow snakes from 4 paces away, and he's pretty much surpassed me in traps and general trickery. All he needs is experience and hints on teamwork, and since he often does things with teams 8, 9 and 10, he's learning that as well. Which team are they? Tsunami asked as a white-faced Sakura sprinted past, intent on escaping her pursuer. Team 7. Anko shrugged. The Uchiha is incredibly arrogant, the girl is an Uchiha fangirl who needs to seriously wise up and the pale boy I don't know, but there's something off about him. The girl is terrified of Naruto, her mom was one of the ones who voted for him to be stripped of his heritage. I don't know if he'll ever really get on with them. Still, it led him to get those kitties of his. Heh, still wish I'd been there to see the old man realize what they really were. Come to think about it, he probably knew from the word go, him and that scrying crystal ball of his. A series of explosions sounded and Anko raised her eyebrows appreciatively. Sounds like someone took down my summons. Damn, I'll have to congratulate whoever it was. You don't seem upset by that. Tsunami noted, obviously puzzled. Anko smirked. Are you serious? One of them has the guts to fight back, there may be some hope for them yet. Okay, you brats. One of you just dispelled my summons, you get the next hour free, then we start the game again. Scram. Water walking. Anko said as she stood atop the lake, glaring at the trio of genin clad only in bathing costumes. Take what you learned from tree climbing and apply it here. You'll need to use more chakra and constantly adjust it, otherwise you'll fall in. By the end of today, I want you walking on water for at least 10 minutes before falling in. Girl, your aim is 5 as your chakra reserves are so pathetic. On the plus side, you should get this faster than the other two. Begin! From the porch, Anko watched as her Kage Bunshin oversaw the trio. Inari stood beside her, his gaze flicking between the genin and her. How are you doing that? You're there, but here? Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. Anko explained. I created a copy of myself, and when the copy dispels, I get all the new memories from it, meaning that whatever it learned, I learn. I can create about 4 or 5 before getting tired. Kakashi can do maybe 20 and Naruto can do almost 1,000, but he's got incredible chakra reserves. Inari's eyes widened, then he looked up at Anko. Can I learn to use this chakra? I hate being weak. Anko frowned. It's better that you ask Kakashi when he returns. He knows how to teach the basics, my methods are harsher than his. Inari flinched as the Anko clone threw a kunai at Sasuke, who barely managed to dodge it. Kakashi, yeah. Okay. Anko smirked. Chapter 11. Meanwhile in Konoha. Yipe! Kiba's yelp echoed off the trees as he jerked backwards, his frantic reaction allowing him to evade the Juken strike by a mere fraction of an inch. Backpedaling rapidly, he dived sideways as another strike scythed through where he had been. Enough! Both combatants halted, Hinata merely breathing heavily while Kiba hyperventilated as the adrenaline slowly ebbed from his system. That was quite incredible, Hinata. Kurenai said, walking over to them. You've really become a lot faster. Thank you, sensei. Hinata said quietly. I knew my taijutsu needed work, so I asked someone for help. I don't mean any insult, but you're a genjutsu specialist, so Kurenai smiled. No insult is taken. I know my limitations. As a genjutsu user, I am best in a team with frontline fighters, or in a recon group like this. Who did you ask for help? My cousin sensei, Mato guy. He gave me some weights to help build my speed and strength, and Mitarashi Anko taught me exercises to help me become tougher and more flexible. It's worked. Kiba panted, managing to lever himself into a sitting position. Sensei, I think I need weights. If they can do that for Hinata, then I need to get some of that. Kurenai nodded. Well, that's all for today. We've done the missions, training and sparring. Meet back here at 10 tomorrow. Hinata, wait a moment please. Kiba nodded and gratefully accepted Shino's proffered hand. The taller genin pulled him to his feet and, pausing just long enough to scoop up the equally exhausted Akamaru, started to lead him back to his clan compound. As they left, Hinata turned to face Kurenai. Gomenai didn't mean to suggest that you. Kurenai held up her hand to stop the apology. I am not angry with you, Hinata. Quite the opposite, in fact. You saw a weakness in yourself and took steps to correct it. And the results have been spectacular. When you started the spars, both Shino and Kiba held back so as to not beat you too badly. Now they have to go all out just to last more than a minute. No, the thing that concerns me is that I saw quite a bit of anger near the end of that spar. Is your family doing something again? Hinata shook her head, a blush coloring her cheeks, and Kurenai raised her eyebrow. That blush, you're not angry at someone, you're angry for someone, yes? Hinata's blush deepened and Kurenai bit down on a laugh. Someone you want to be close to, Perhaps someone as fast as Rock Lee? Hinata's blush seemed to glow as she ducked her head down into the collar of her jacket, and Kurenai found herself hard-pushed not to burst out laughing. So how long have you had a crush on Mato guy? Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai could no longer hold it in. Seeing the horrified expression on Hinata's face in response to her joke, she fell sideways, clutching at her ribs as tears of laughter trickled down her cheeks. For what seemed like half an hour, she gasped for breath each time she started to recover, the look on her student's face sent her into a fresh gale of laughter. Finally she managed to pull herself together and looked up into a pair of pale, angry eyes. "I'm teasing you, Hinata, but that was a wonderful reaction. Everyone knows you've got a crush on Naruto." Hinata's face suddenly flamed red again before vanishing into the jacket's raised collar. Kurenai almost burst into laughter again, but managed to hold it down to a wide grin. "So, why do you need to be stronger? Aren't you strong enough already?" Hinata shook her head. Naruto-kun's scared of losing control of his Kekkai Genkai. You can see it, he's always trying to hold back as much as he can so no one around him gets hurt. That's why I need to get stronger, so that he doesn't have to hold back as much, so that he can relax a bit without worrying about hurting me. Kurenai thought about it for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I see. And what does your family think?" "My father doesn't mind. I recently found a document from before I was born, a marriage contract between me and Naruto," Kurenai stated. Hinata nodded. But when the council passed that law, saying Naruto wasn't who he was, the document became useless, and since Hanabi has already been confirmed as the new clan heiress, Kurenai frowned. "I'm surprised that the elders didn't push to put the cage bird seal on you." Hinata giggled. "Dad took them to see one of Naruto-kun's training sessions. They saw him flatten Niji-Nisan in a full spar and fight Lee-san to a standstill in pure taijutsu. And with the tigers that Naruto-kun controls, the elders want to have me marry him to get an alliance between the Hyuga and the Kagetora clans." Kurenai's eyebrows had raised as Hinata spoke. "But what about the Byakugan?" Hinata sagged slightly. "They have thought of that. When I do marry Naruto-kun, I'll receive the sleeping bird seal so that I don't pass my Byakugan to any children. But I don't mind, they'll inherit Naruto-kun's Kekkai Genkai." For a couple of seconds, silence seemed to reign, then Hinata obviously realized what she had just said. Kurenai lunged forwards as Hinata turned a bright red and collapsed, a small trickle of blood coming from her nose. Kurenai looked down at the unconscious girl in her arms and chuckled. "Kurenai-san. Is my daughter? She's fine, Hayashi-sama." Kurenai replied, looking up at the approaching figure. "She just trained a bit too hard, that's all." Hayashi raised an eyebrow as he saw the trickle of blood on his daughter's face. "Really? I would have said that she accidentally thought about being married to Naruto-san. After all, whenever her face is that color, with the nosebleed, that is generally what and whom she was thinking about." Kurenai scooped Hinata up into her arms, only to pause as Hayashi stepped forwards and gently took Hinata from her, cradling her so that her head was against his shoulder. "Kurenai-san, may I talk with you?" Kurenai lifted one eyebrow slightly. "Of course, Hayashi-sama." Hayashi turned and started to stroll towards the Hyuga compound, Kurenai taking position by his side. "Can you please cast a genjutsu to keep this conversation private?" Kurenai nodded and her hands blurred through a short sequence of seals. "Done. I've slightly blurred our faces so that we can't be lip-read, and our voices will seem distant and indecipherable to any who try to get close." "Thank you," Hayashi said, inclining his head slightly. "I am sure you have questions for me." "Like who you really are?" Kurenai asked semi-humorously. "I've never seen you act so gentle to Hinata before." "You have a valid point, one that I am not proud of," Hayashi said slowly. "At the time, I thought it was for the best. She held the position of heir, and those on the Hyuga Council who were opposed to me tried to have her branded with the caged bird seal. I tried to make her stronger, but I realized too late that it was not working, so in order to protect her, I tried to push her away, so that the elders would not see her as a way to control me. I have already apologized to her and explained my reasons. Hinata was kind enough to forgive me." Kurenai glanced up and saw Hayashi's eyes shimmer slightly before he blinked several times. About her and Naruto, Kurenai prompted, and Hayashi smiled slightly. "Hinata has trained with Naruto several times. He sees her as a friend. I intend to talk to him, show him the marriage contract, and I feel sure that between the friendship he shares with Hinata and his desire to pay the council back for their actions, he will at least consider the possibility of matrimony. Kurenai looked at him again. And the fact that he is a genin without a team? Hayashi burst into laughter, almost causing Kurenai to lose control of the genjutsu. Once he had calmed down, he looked at Kurenai with an expression she had never seen before. Mirth. Kurenai-san, he is a team by himself. No, he is an army. He can create over 1,000 Kage Bunshin, he has over 100 great tigers backing him up, and he studies under your friend, Mitarashi Enko, as well as Madogai and Hitaki Kakashi. Even you have taught him a bit. Would you like to rethink your stance on that one? Kurenai blushed slightly. I can't believe how strong Hinata-chan has become. Kiba half-panted as he staggered down the street, relying on his teammate to stop him from measuring his length on the ground. I really need to get some of those weights. The increase in Hinata-san's combat capabilities has proven to be both unexpected and fortuitous. It is highly possible that her combative capabilities exceed those of both you and I at close ranges. Huh? Shino sighed. It is good she has got better. She may be better than both of us close in. Why didn't you just say that? Kiba half-moaned. She was kicking my tail around the training field like I was her personal plushie. It was all I could do to not get knocked out. I also experienced a significant counterforce whenever I attempted to. Shino stopped talking as Kiba glared at him, then he cleared his throat. She was able to outpower me at close range, and her chakra reservoirs have increased. She lasts longer against my Kekkai. She's got good. Kiba agreed. I really think I need weights. I'm so talking to mom when I get home. I also have reached the conclusion that I am lacking in taijutsu. Shino said. The use of weights is a concept most agreeable to my current mental appreciation of the situation. Kiba frowned in concentration. So, your fighting is not as good as it could be, and using weights is a good idea. Right? Shino nodded slightly. That is approximately what I said, yes. Dumb it down for me next time. Kiba groaned. You and Hinata are the brains of the group. Until Hinata hammered me like that, I thought I was the brute strength. Heh. Have to do some serious training if I want to claim that title back. Her combat capability has indeed increased exponentially. Shino said. I admit to curiosity as to the origin of the unprecedented and unexpected increase in her skills and tactical acumen. Kiba stared at him. She has become very strong, I wonder how. Shino translated and Kiba shrugged. Dunno. How about we follow her on our day off and see if we can find out? Shino nodded. Hinata-chan. It is good to see your youthful face this wonderful morning. We were just about to begin our warm-ups, would you care to join us? Thank you, Gai-sensei. I would, if it not too much trouble. You are always welcome, Hinata-san. Thank you, Lee-senpai. Kiba's jaw dropped as he watched Hinata remove her jacket and join the spandex-clad duo in their morning ritual of press-ups, sit-ups and other exercises. Beside him and peering over his shoulder, Shino's eyebrows had risen above his shades. Several minutes passed, and then Kiba sighed. Hey, Shino, Hinata's really grown. How did she hide those? Shino turned to stare disbelievingly at Kiba, who was staring at Hinata, or more accurately at a certain portion of her anatomy as she did so. A brief glimpse of her lower abdomen as her t-shirt lifted slightly showed that she was well-toned enough that her musculature was visible. Wow. Kiba drooled. She's got a really honed body, did you see those stomach muscles? Shiba's disbelieving stare intensified. We are here to see if we can adapt our teammates' training to aid in our own, not to salivate over her. But look at her legs, her arms, her boo. Shino lowered his fist as Kiba rubbed at the new bruise on the top of his head. Will you please be quiet? You didn't have to hit so hard. Kiba pouted. Hey, they've finished. Lee, 10 laps around Konoha, go. Yash, Guy-sensei. As the young teenager blurred into the distance, Guy turned his attention to Hinata. Are you recovered enough for a spar, Hinata? Yes, Guy-sensei. No way. Kiba whispered as his teammate and Konoha's taijutsu master squared off and began to spar. Instead of relying on the jukin, Hinata was using a flexible, sinuous style that Kiba vaguely recognized. Snake style, used primarily by Mitarashi Anko. Shino said quietly after a few minutes. Naruto's sensei uses it. It would seem that Hinata has been seeking out and incorporating multiple specialties into her supplemental training. Yeah, and she's learned some cool new stuff, too. Kiba whispered back as Hinata almost managed to land a hit. Shino facepalmed. Good morning, my youthful friends. Both Shino and Kiba leapt at the unexpected greeting, inadvertently revealing themselves to the sparring duo before them as they spun round to confront the person who had spoken out behind them. Kiba opened his mouth, but what came out was not what he had intended. Eyebrows. Shino facepalmed again. Please excuse my intellectually challenged acquaintance. What he meant to say was good morning, my name is Aburane Shino, this is Inuzuka Kiba, you already know our teammate Hinata. May we know your name? The green-clad black-haired boy posed with his thumb raised. I am Rock Lee, the second green beast of Konoha. It is my dream to prove that one can be a great ninja primarily relying on taijutsu. My Otuto Kazutora Naruto healed my inability to use chakra, for which I am eternally grateful. Otuto? Kiba whispered. Come, my newfound friends. Let me introduce you to my most youthful sensei. Shino fought down the urge to facepalm yet again. He was uncertain that he would make it through the day without developing a distinct red mark on his forehead. But at least he now had a chance to improve. So, it's not just Guy-sensei who teaches you? Kiba asked, a shocked expression on his face as he staggered back to his home, supported by both Hinata and Shino. Anko-sensei has taught me quite a bit, Hinata admitted, and Kakashi-sensei has taught me a couple of jutsu. That is quite impressive. Shino said from Kiba's other side. Your improvement seemed inexplicable until now. I am intrigued as to how you got permission from your clan to learn non-Hyuga jutsus, though. Hinata shrugged. If all goes well, I am to marry outside the Hyuga. As such, the elders don't care anymore about forcing me to become a perfect Hyuga. I'm still working on increasing my chakra reserves. Kakashi-sensei says that if I continue to do so at the rate I'm doing, I'll be able to learn the Kage Bunshin before the year is out. Kiba whistled in shock while Shino raised his eyebrows. That is quite incredible. What inspired you to achieve such a feat? Hinata blushed. And Naruto Shino nodded. Chapter 12, Wave Rising. I still don't believe you managed to do that. Kakashi said in a shell-shocked voice as they crested the ridge and came into sight of Tezuna's home. I mean, I knew your stealth skills were good, but managing to sneak into Gato's mansion and place a spy seal on him while he slept? That's just even for you, that's Naruto chuckled and reached down to scratch Kaze's fur. Hey, sensei, I am unpredictable. And that outer wall wouldn't have been an obstacle even if I couldn't do the tree walking skill. And you managed to put a transportation seal into his safe, so we can summon all the things stored inside whenever we want. Kakashi continued. Kami, how do you come up with these things? Naruto shrugged. It'd be easier if I knew the Hiraishin, but that died with my dad. Kakashi looked at him, an odd expression on his masked face. Didn't it? For a moment, Kakashi remained silent, then he looked round to check that they were still unobserved. There are 3 ninja in Konoha who were your father's elite guard. They know how to do a version of Hiraishin, but until you can reverse the council's decision. Naruto's face darkened, then he sighed. At least it isn't a completely lost technique. Maybe I'll be able to get one of them to teach me someday. Until then, I'll try to complete the Rasengan. You never told me how you're getting on with that. Kakashi said and Naruto shrugged. After almost blowing myself up a few times, I set my Kage Bunshin to work on it. I've found 97 different ways of not doing it, 62 of which are very, very painful. Briefly. Kakashi blinked. I see. At least you're honing your Kage Bunshin skills. Yap. Naruto chirped. I have no idea where that myth that it needs you to split all of your chakra comes from. As long as you give each clone enough to remain stable for a while, it's easy. Kakashi nodded. I see. When we get back, I'm recommending that Sarutobi promote you to Chunin. Your skills are way too good for your current level. Naruto sighed. Won't do me much good, though. I still have too many enemies on the council for that to go through without one hell of a fight, and with Kyuubi inside me and my super strength control still slipping whenever my emotions get too powerful, no girl will want to marry me. One will. Kakashi said absently, then he clapped his hand over his mouth, but the damage had been done. Really? Naruto asked, his entire posture reflecting his curiosity. Who? Do I know her? Kakashi shook his head in resignation. Hayashi would kill him for this. If he was lucky. Nanny? Anko's head turned as the exclamation sounded and she grinned before turning back to the trio of near-traumatized genin. Aw, looks like I can't play with you anymore. She mock-sighed. Kakashi's back, so you're going back to him. And all three of you are still alive, I must be losing my touch. Well, off you go. Get a quick wash and changed. The trio dashed inside before Anko could change her mind, and Anko grinned as familiar shapes began to come down the hill. Anko waved and the taller figure returned it. Welcome back. How did you do? We have a spy seal on Gato, and a transport seal in his safe. Kakashi gloated. Your student is really something, you know that? How did you get on with mine? Anko smirked. First, thanks, I'm quite proud of him even if it was just a case of honing his skills. Second, they're still alive, but I think I got them to at least accept the concept of teamwork. They managed to dispel a few of my summons, and it wasn't just the ink user. You know the little shit can create explosive tags? That got my attention. Pinky's good at planning when she's not in fangirl mode, while Sasuke actually has some combat potential. Still, explosive tags, Kakashi hummed as he dropped down from the back of the tiger he had been riding. Well, Sai was privately trained to at least genin level before transferring across, so I have no real idea of what he was taught. His ink thing is a Kekkai Genkai, if that helps. Anko turned and stared at the wide-eyed form of her student. Gaki? Gaki? Hey, what have you done to my student? She likes me that way? Kakashi, Anko growled, a kunai appearing in her hand. Just what have you done to my student? Kakashi stared at her, then glanced quickly at where Naruto was still sat motionless atop the now sniggering Kaze. I just told him that someone hated by Tofa Kreshanyan please didn't kill me. Anko blinked as she mentally reviewed the rushed ending of the sentence, then her gaze sharpened. Who? Kakashi backed up, raising his hands. You like her, it's Hinata who likes him. Anko relaxed slightly. Hinata? Hyuga Hinata? Nisan's student? The one who I'm teaching as well? Oh, sure, that's old news. Wait. You're telling me that all this time, he had no idea? What the hell were you and Guy teaching him while you were raising him? You should have at least given him the talk. Kakashi vanished in a shunshin and Anko snarled before vanishing after him, leaving Naruto and the dozen tigers behind. She really likes me like that? Anko reappeared, sighed and tugged at Naruto's arm, pulling him down. Catching him and standing him up, she guided him towards the house. Hinata likes me? Anko shook her head, then grinned widely. She was so going to have fun teasing him and Hinata about this. So. Kakashi said brightly to the hastily cleaned trio in front of him. How have things been during the last 5 days? Have you been good little genin for Anko-chan? All three stared at him, unable to speak. Well, I'll take that as a good thing. Kakashi continued, apparently missing the reactions of his students. Now, what did she teach you? Sakura? Sakura almost flinched at being singled out, but she managed to pull herself together. We learned tree climbing and water walking. Oh, is that all? Kakashi said, sounding disappointed. She said she was going to work on your evasion skills as well as your chakra control and reserves. She summoned snakes and had them chase us. And she threw kunai at us. Sasuke burst out and Kakashi nodded. That would be the evasion skills. Good to know she hasn't lost her touch. Did she start with the advanced stuff? Poisons, torture, assassination? Sakura and Sasuke both looked horrified while Sai looked slightly disturbed. Kakashi sighed. Well, at least she covered the basics. Sensei. Sakura asked nervously. Why didn't we learn these things earlier? Good question. Kakashi replied in a congratulatory tone. I was hoping you would ask that. Simply, your teamwork was so bad that I had to take action to try and improve it, get all three of you working together. Did you play her favorite game with the snake? The holy shit! Don't get eaten by the giant summons game? Sasuke asked in a haunted voice and Kakashi nodded. Yep, that's the one. Just about the only way to take out one of those when you're a genin is by teaming up against it. At least you managed to not get eaten, that's something. Anything else happen? Sasuke looked up and Kakashi almost froze as Sasuke's black eyes flashed red. I activated my Sharingan during that game. And Anko gave me quite a lecture. I told him that if he used it on an ally, teammate or anyone from Konoha without permission, I'd rip his eyes out and replace them with his balls. Anko said, appearing from nowhere and draping herself against Kakashi. Kakashi nodded. Well, the punishment's a bit much, but I agree. It's one reason why the Uchiha were disliked by the other clans. They kept trying to steal clan jutsus, and occasionally succeeding. No one likes it when they've trained for years to create a new jutsu, only to have someone blink at them and copy it. Sasuke blinked several times, then nodded slowly. So that is why the other clans didn't support the Uchiha. It wasn't jealousy of our eyes, it was that they were angry with us for abusing their power. Kakashi nodded, his jovial act in abeyance. Yes, Sasuke. Your clan were infamous for stealing other people's jutsu and boasting about it. If you rebuild your clan, you have a chance to build it so it isn't hated. Sasuke lowered his head, his eyes dark in thought, and Kakashi turned his attention to Sakura. So, he chirped, I hear that you can actually be something other than a mindless fangirl. Naruto leaned back against Kaze's flank in the middle of the clearing in the forest, his eyes wandering across the stars above. The Moon-Eye girl would be good for you. We both know you like her and she likes you. Kaze rumbled and Naruto sighed. I know that she likes me and I really like her, but damn it, Kaze, I daren't get that close to her, I'm too strong. I'll hurt her, I just know I will. Kaze turned his head to fix Naruto with a piercing gaze and Naruto slumped. I'm scared, Kaze. He whispered. I have too many enemies in Konoha. If I get close to her, they'll use her to get to me, and it'll really hurt her when they do. I wouldn't worry about it. Kaze replied. Besides, once you claim her as a mate, Blossoming Flower in the Morning Dawn has already asked to be the one to be the protector of Precious Flower with Eyes of the Moon. Naruto smiled at the name that the great tigers had bestowed on Hinata. So Kyuko wants to guard Hinata. The two of them already get on well. Kaze pointed out and Naruto nodded, then yawned. Sorry, but I think that's sleep well, Cubling. Kaze quietly rumbled, knowing that his charge was already asleep. The long-haired figure entered the clearing and froze as a large fur-covered head rose, affixing it with a piercing stare. A moment later, another head rose, this one human and topped with blonde hair. Oh, good morning. The boy yawned, eyes still screwed shut against the dawnlight. The giant cat sighed and laid its head down, grumbling as it did so. What? Oh. Kaze says he's not going to hurt you, and what? He says you're really a boy. He can smell it. Well, Kaze was it? Is right, I am a boy. My name is Haku. The blonde rubbed at his eyes and yawned again, leaving Haku intrigued as to how he could yawn like that without dislocating his jaw. Nice to meet you, Haku. I'm Kagetora Naruto, and this heap of fur is Kaze. A growling rumble sounded and Naruto vaulted over Kaze, slapping him as he did so. Oh, stop complaining. When you sprawl out like that, it's what you look like, a great big pile of fur. Don't you agree, Haku? Haku noted the eye slitting open to look at him and the ear twitching slightly. I think he looks amazing, even lying down. Haku said quickly. I've never seen a cat as big as him. He's my friend. Naruto said, turning to glare at the sniggering feline. Even if he does insist on trying to pounce me whenever he gets bored. So, what are you doing out here this early? My friend is hurt and I'm getting some herbs to help him get better. Haku said, his eyes widening as Kaze heaved himself to his feet, looming over Naruto. Naruto followed his gaze. Oh, don't be scared. Outside battle, Kaze's just a giant kitten. Yes, you are and we both know it, so stop growling at me. Haku managed to not laugh as Kaze rolled his eyes before letting out a giant sigh and lowering his head. Naruto laughed and reached up to scratch Kaze between his ears. A rumbling purr soon started to echo around the glade. So, you need herbs. Naruto said, inadvertently reminding Haku of his mission. I can help, I'm a ninja, I can do anything. Oi, Kaze, who asked you? Ignore him. Haku giggled, then held out the basket he was carrying. I'm looking for more of these. Naruto walked over and picked one up. Taking a few sniffs, he dropped it back into the basket and inhaled deeply, eyes closed. Over there, come on. Haku followed him as he headed towards a shaded portion of the glade, where a small area was thickly covered in the herbs. With a grateful smile, Haku started to pluck some from the ground. That was amazing, Haku said. What else can you do? Naruto grinned. I can do loads of jutsu, but I'm best in a close-in fight 'cause I'm super strong. I've learned loads of stuff and can do really cool things, like this. Haku stared at the blue swirling sphere in Naruto's hand, then up to Naruto's grin. That is really amazing. Yap. Naruto smirked. It's called the Rasengan. Are you sure he said Rasengan? Haku nodded. It was a blue sphere of chakra. I'd never seen anything like it before. Zabuza slumped back into the embrace of his chair. Great. We're up against copycat Kakashi, the snake mistress and the kid swordsman who has one of the jutsu of the Yondaime Hokage. And at least one giant tiger. Haku said quietly. It stood 7 feet tall, at the shoulder. Zabuza closed his eyes and massaged his forehead. Damn it, are you sure you got away safely? I did. Haku said. I used my mirrors to cover some of the distance and to break my scent trail. Made it hard to find again. A familiar voice said from the doorway and Haku spun round with a gasp. In the doorway, Naruto grinned at him, flanked by Kakashi and Anko. Haku's gaze darted round and panic rose in him as he saw at least one giant tiger guarding each of the windows, looking in with interested expressions. I had a lot of help and I had to use my special transformation technique. Naruto admitted, rubbing the back of his head, but I managed to find you. I don't want to fight you, so can we hire you instead? Zabuza stared at him. What? How would you like to become ninja of Konohagakure? Kakashi asked with a smile visible under his mask. What? Chapter 13, Wave Breaking. Ayerf. It's Zabuza. Zabuza stuck his finger in his ear and wriggled it slightly, then turned to face Kakashi. Got quite a set of lungs on her, hasn't she? Kakashi nodded while behind them, Haku giggled slightly. Sensei. It's Zabuza. And? Kakashi's simple query caught Sakura completely by surprise and she stared at him as if he'd gone mad. From the stairs, Sasuke stared at them wide-eyed while Sai merely cocked his head in slight confusion. We proved to Zabuza that Gato was planning to betray him and kill him rather than pay him, so Zabuza's accepted our offer of employment and will join Konoha once our mission is over. Come on, Zabuza, I think Naruto wanted a rematch. Sure thing. That kid has potential. Haku, get settled in and ask Anko what needs doing. I'll be playing. The three genin watched as Kakashi and Zabuza walked off, then Sakura blinked as Sasuke walked past her. Good morning, my name is Uchiha Sasuke, last of my clan. May I know the name of such a beautiful girl as yourself? My name is Haku and I'm a boy. Sasuke froze, as did Sakura. You're a boy. Haku finished with a slight smile. For almost half a minute, everyone was motionless, then Sasuke seemed to crumple bonelessly onto the floor. Sakura yelped and dashed over to check the collapsed boy was alright while Tsunami and Inari, who had managed to recover from their shock, started to giggle. Does he do that often? Haku asked and Anko shrugged. No idea, brat. Anyway, you're in with the genin, since you're about their age, while Zabuza's in with Kakashi and myself. Heh, now there's 3 jonin, we can do a proper watch rotation. Battle cries and the sound of metal striking metal echoed and Anko glanced round. Wow, I gotta see this. Pinky, once Emo's up, get Haku settled in. I've gotta see what Zabuza's teaching my Gaki, and if I can learn any of it. See ya. They watched Anko jog off and then Haku turned back to face Sakura. Do you want help carrying him to where we are sleeping? What do you mean, Zabuza's vanished? How the hell am I going to kill him and claim his bounty if he's not around for me to turn on? Gato's voice rose from the square of parchment on which a complex seal was written. The 3 jonin, 4 genin and unranked shinobi crowded round to listen. I don't care, we need to stop that damned bridge from being finished. Summon everyone, we move out at dawn tomorrow. Yes, even the Nuke-Nin. I want Zabuza's head on a platter. Zabuza growled while Haku cocked his head in confusion. Why are we only hearing Gato? It's the way the seal works. Naruto explained. It was in a Fuinjutsu book and is a spy seal meant for undercover operatives. It only transmits what they say since it relies on detecting and transmitting fluctuations in the user's chakra that correspond to speech. Haku's eyebrows rose during the explanation. Impressive. So, that'll be a dozen Nuke-Nin in addition to how many? 140? Should be plenty. Kakashi mused. Naruto, we may need your friends for this. Hell yeah. Zabuza enthused. Those cats of yours are each at least high genin, low chunin, boosts our numbers and the other side will have no idea what the hell they are. Heck, first few times I sparred against them, I ended up getting licked. Literally. Haku managed to hide his chuckle as a cough, but Zabuza glared at him suspiciously. So, when Gato chooses to deploy his minions, we keep Tazuna here with a few clones for security. Anko interjected. With a few clones and my genin for security while we ride the great tigers into battle and send Gato's surviving minions running. Kakashi continued. And if Gato's not there, we track him down. Sounds like a plan? Has my vote. Zabuza grinned under his mask. But why leave your genin here? They could be useful. As a distraction, if nothing else. Kakashi sighed. Anko's just got them working together. I'd rather not traumatize them out of being able to perform teamwork after all that effort teaching them. Gato fumed as he strode towards the bridge. His primary disposable weapon, the Nuke-Nin Zabuza, had vanished, leaving him to recruit new ninja to take down the Konoha nin that the damned bridge builder had somehow conned into protecting him. At least he'd been able to get another 8 Nuke-Nin overnight, bringing the total up to 20, although only 16 were with him. And with close to 200 thugs in his army, there was nothing that could stop him. He bumped into the ninja who was walking in front of him. The man had stopped. "What's going on?" Gato yelled, forcing his way through to the front ranks of the mob. Breaking through, he looked round and felt his breath catch in his throat. "I didn't like it that you were planning on backstabbing me and my son." Zabuza drawled from his position atop the largest feline that Gato had ever seen. "So when my new friends came to me with an offer of sanctuary and a new life, I said yeah. If you hadn't been such a traitorous team, I'd still be on your side." Gato stared at him, then another giant cat showed up, this one with a silver-haired figure perched on its back. "We just emptied your safe," the figure said as he dropped down onto the ground. "All that info you were keeping secret, proof of your crimes and your criminal empire, all in our hands now. Even if you somehow survive this, you're going down." "Kakashi-sensei." Yet another cat rider appeared, this one blonde. "One of my clones just dispelled. Gato sent for Ronin and Nuknin to seize Inari and Tsunami. Sai took one down, Sasuke took down the second, Sakura knocked out the third, and my clones mobbed the last one. Sasuke wants to know if he can have one of the swords." Gato felt his blood freeze as his intended trump card was destroyed. "Well," said yet another cat rider, causing Gato to start sweating, "this looks like fun." "How many ninja?" 16. The silver-haired one said. "None of them above Haichunin." "No problems." "Dibs on Gato." Zabuza snarled. "I want to chop his damned head off." "I have a better idea," the blonde said. "Let's catch him and give him to the villagers." "Oh, Gaki," the female smirked, "keep coming up with ideas like that and I'll have to marry you." Gato gulped as the tigers crouched, ready to attack. Sasuke and Sai dragged the last of the 4 corpses to by the trees, where Sakura was emptying the pouches and removing the weapons of the other 3. A small pile of kunai and shuriken was close by, as well as several scrolls. "Dibs on the Chikudo," Sasuke said, and Sakura nodded as she opened the scrolls to check them. "The kunai are probably only good for scrap," Sai said, picking one up and looking at it curiously. "The shuriken are very unbalanced." "What are in the scrolls?" "This one's got a fire technique," Sakura said, rolling it up and tossing it to Sasuke. "This one, oh, a medical scroll." "This one, not a clue." "Sai?" Sai looked at it. "That is a storage scroll. I will unseal it." Sai unrolled the scroll along the ground and channeled some chakra into it. A second later, there was an explosion of smoke and everyone stared at it. Sasuke started salivating. "Salad," Sakura said slowly. Someone filled a storage scroll with salad. Sasuke lunged forwards and grabbed one of the tomatoes, biting into it with an expression of bliss. "I guess Smiles has dibs on the tomatoes too," Sai commented. Sasuke glared at him before taking another bite. Gato had pissed his pants. His army had attacked, only for a furry avalanche to hammer into it from the side as the 5 ninja before him had attacked, the youngest somehow creating a dozen more like himself and scything through the thugs as if they were blades of grass. His Nuknin had fared little better. The ones who had homed in on the 2 men had been killed almost instantly, bisected by Zabuza or killed by assassination strikes from the silver-haired man. Those who had gone after the woman were on the ground, dead or dying from snake bites delivered by snakes that the woman had somehow summoned from her sleeves. The few that had attacked the one dressed as a hunter nin had been captured in blocks of ice. The 2 who had gone after the brat had been sent flying by a backhand swing of the huge sword the kid was swinging around like a lethal paper fan. Gato ran faster. Behind him, the sound of combat died down, and a terrifying roar sounded. Another answered it from the left, then a third from the right. They were hunting him. Gato tried to run faster, if he could only reach his headquarters, then both he and his thoughts screeched to a halt as a pair of giant tigers burst out of the undergrowth and spun to face him. One of them pounced and Gato found himself pinned to the ground by a pair of giant paws on his shoulders while his attention was transfixed by a mouthful of fangs the size of kunai. The two tigers growled to each other, then the one pinning him moved off him just as the second one grabbed his right arm in its jaws. The first one grabbed his left arm and Gato fainted as the two tigers hoisted him into the air. "Where's Naruto?" Tsuna's urgent query cut through the air as the three jonin and single chunin dismounted from their feline steeds. "Ah, Gaki went to get you a gift," Anko joked. "He and Kaze'll be back soon." "Kaze's back," Inari shouted, "and then there's two of him?" Anko looked round in confusion. Sure enough, Kaze had returned and was walking down the high street, Gato's arm in his mouth. Gato's other arm, however, was indeed being held by a second Kaze. "What?" The two Kazes stopped in the middle of the town square and, almost as one, dropped the whimpering Gato onto the floor before backing up slightly. Exchanging satisfied looks, one of the Kazes settled down into his normal sprawl while the second was suddenly engulfed in a cloud of smoke which dispersed to reveal Naruto making faces and spitting. "Blurg, Gato tastes terrible," he spluttered, causing a wave of laughter. "No, I mean it. He tastes foul, dank, slimy blurg." "Thanks." Naruto took a swig from the water canteen Sakura had handed him, swished the water round his mouth and spat it out onto a nearby flower bed. Repeating a couple more times, he handed the canteen back with a nod of thanks. "So, that was the great tiger henge no jutsu you've mentioned before, yes?" Kakashi asked. "I'm impressed. It's like a reversal of the Inuzuka tactics. Can't wait to show Kiba." Naruto smirked. "Anyway, I thought that I'd bring the village a little something, so here it is." Gato whimpered as he frantically looked for an escape route, but the villagers had formed a complete circle around him, many of them growling or snarling as they advanced on the author of their misfortunes. "Naruto, Gakis, let's go," Anko commanded. "We can visit Gato's base and grab the rest of his things while the villagers celebrate, then return when they're done." The villagers didn't notice the ninja departing. "Do you really have to go?" Inari asked, his eyes brimming with tears despite his best efforts. "I'm afraid so, yes," Anko said, looking down at the boy who was hugging her. "Don't worry, brat, we'll visit you again someday." "I'm not a brat," Inari protested and Anko ruffled his hair. "You need to grow a bit before I stop calling you that." Anko grinned. "But I really need to leave." "Thanks for your help," Tsuna said, pumping Kakashi's hand. "And thanks for that gift, it'll really help us in rebuilding." Well, Gato had stolen quite a lot, Kakashi said with his standard eye smile. "Even after taking what you would have owed us had you told the truth about the mission, there was still quite a bit left. Use it wisely now that the bridge is finished. Now, we really need to return to Konoha. Our new Jonin needs to report in and find a place to stay. We have a few spare rooms at home, if you don't mind having the tigers around," Naruto said to Zabuza, who laughed. "Mind? Kid, I love these tigers, excellent backup, fantastic steeds and always up for a good tussle. And you really need Kenjutsu training, as does the emo with his new sword. I'll accept the rooms with thanks." "Hey, come on!" Anko shouted, having managed to extract herself from Inari's hug and mounted one of the tigers. "Daylight's burning. See you all," Naruto shouted, waving as Kaze started to walk back towards Konoha. "Stay safe." The villagers watched their saviors vanish into the trees, then Tsunami looked at the bridge behind them. "So, what are you going to call it?" "The super awesome bridge that Tsuna built," Tsuna declaimed, then he looked round at the suddenly silent crowd. "The Midarashi Anko Bridge?" Inari suggested. "How about the Great Tiger Bridge?" Tsunami said thoughtfully. "After all, it was the tigers who brought that bastard Gato to us for justice, and they fought alongside the ninjas as well." A rumble of approval went through the crowd. Chapter 14, Return to the Leaf. "That is a big wall." Kakashi smirked at Zabuza's deadpan comment as the outer wall of Konoha loomed into view. "Yep, welcome to Konohagakure. Kakashi said. The largest of the hidden villages, and the one with the craziest people. Yeah, right. Zabuza snorted. As if any village could become that powerful with "let us show our flames of youtthhh." Zabuza's eyes widened as a green-clad figure dropped down from the top of the wall, followed by 3 genin. Naruto leapt from Kaze's back and almost tackled the smaller version of the green-clad man. Lee-senpai. Naruto-ni-chan. Gai-sensei. Naruto-kun. Lee-senpai. Gai-sensei. Naruto-ni-chan. Naruto-kun. Everyone, look away. Anko yelled as Gai, Lee and Naruto hugged as in the background, waves crashed against the rocky shore as the sun sank towards the horizon. Gagaha warned you. Anko said mercilessly. Gragagawa? The unbreakable sunset genjutsu. Kakashi explained. No one understands it, and only Gai can perform it. Not true, my eternal rival. Gai proclaimed. Lee's control of his recently unlocked chakra has advanced to the point that he can also create the sunset of youth without aid. Is there something wrong with him? Gai asked, staring at the shaking Zabuza curiously. First time seeing the sunset. Anko explained as Naruto exchanged bows with Niji and let Tenten give him a hug. The first time it happens is always a shock. What are you doing here? My cute students and myself are leaving to perform a border patrol and which will last for a fortnight. Gai replied. It is good to see you. I was getting concerned that something unyouthful had happened to you. I know Momochi Zabuza from the bingo book, but who is this young lady? I'm a boy. Haku muttered. Why does everyone mistake me for a girl? To be fair, Haku, Sakura said, you do look quite feminine, and your long hair doesn't help. You look more like a girl than Niji does. Hey! Niji yelled. Haku gave him a long look. He does look quite feminine, yes. Niji-san, how do you stop people mistaking you for a girl? Oh, it happens quite often. Tenten giggled, ignoring Niji's glare. He got propositioned 3 times on our last C-rank mission. Tenten. What? It's true. Zabuza closed his eyes and shuddered, then fixed his gaze on Kakashi. You weren't kidding about the crazies, were you? Nope. What crazies? Gai asked. I'm sorry, did you say something? Arf. Gai screamed. You know your hip and too cool attitude really annoys me, Kakashi. If I were not leaving for a mission, I would challenge you to another youthful contest. Zabuza stared at him, mouth working but unable to actually say anything. Gai, Anko said. We need to get moving, and you probably do as well. Good luck on your mission. Thank you. Gai declaimed, giving her a thumbs up. Come, my cute and youthful students, border patrol awaits. Zabuza watched them leave, then shook his head. Please tell me that he's the worst. Anko laughed. Gai's the resident taijutsu master and shouts about youth. Kakashi reads porn, I work for TNI where I really let my sadistic side out. Kurenai really dislikes perverts and casts genjutsu on people who act perverted around her. The more powerful we get, the stranger we get. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Oh. Dolphin Kuin. Anko leapt down and sprinted to where a man with a scar across his nose was just turning round. He caught her as she leapt at him and embraced her, kissing her in a way that made several of the shinobi nearby laugh, whistle or applaud. Who? How? My old academy teacher, Irika. Naruto said, shaking his head. I still don't know how they got together, but several times I've got up in the morning to do my dawn exercises and found Irika-sensei in the kitchen making coffee. Thank Kami for silencing seals is all I can say. Although he actually makes better coffee than Gai-sensei does. Zabuza stared at him. The man behind the desk was not what Zabuza had expected. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the famed professor, the god of shinobi, the master of ninjutsu, the third Hokage was an old man. Smoking a pipe. So, Kakashi offered to let you two join our ranks. Hiruzen said with a gentle smile after Anko had finished her recitation of events. Zabuza, you are well known as being Jonin rank and one of the famed 7 swordsmen, so I offer you the rank of probationary Jonin for 6 months. After that, if you haven't got into any real trouble, the rank will be full Jonin. And as for your son? Zabuza shrugged. Haku is as a son to me, but I never officially adopted him. And there are people out there who would kill me and him if I gave him the name Momochi. Hiruzen looked thoughtful, then glanced over to Naruto. Yes, Naruto? Gigi, can I adopt Haku as my cousin? Kagetora Haku sounds good. If Haku agrees, then I see no reason why not. The Hokage said. Although as your adopted cousin, he will not become the leader of the Kagetora clan while you are still alive, your claim has primacy. That's cool. Naruto said, and then his smile became an evil smirk. And I think it's time to choose my regent to hold my council seat until I come of age. Zabuza? Zabuza stared at him, then started to chuckle. Within a minute, he had slumped to the floor and was holding his sides as he howled with laughter. Once he'd recovered, he looked across. You realize what a fuss this will cause, right? Naruto shrugged. The council removed my lineage and inheritance. I can't think of anything better than having my uncle there to glare at them until I'm old enough to take over. Uncle? Zabuza said slowly. Sure, kid, as long as Haku agrees. Haku nodded. A clan with not one but 2 Kekkai Genkais, strength and ice. Hiruzen grinned. And having you on the council will make us a more valid choice for any nukenin from other countries who wish for a new start, thus giving us the chance to grow even stronger. And it'll convince the civilians to finally stop screwing with me and my clan. Naruto grinned. They'll be too scared to try, since they'll be terrified about what I might come up with next. For a bunker, this is a very nice home. Haku said as he walked down the spiral stairs after finishing unpacking the things in his room. I am really impressed by the training areas and the storage facilities. You are building up quite a library. I agree. Zabuza said as he followed his adoptive son. By the way, with us, all 6 of those rooms are now in use, so who else lives here? Well, Naruto said as he carried the large pot of stew through and placed it on the table while Anko followed with a basket of bread rolls. There's you two, me, of course, Anko-sensei, Kakashi-sensei and Gai-sensei. Zabuza almost tripped at that. Wait, that spandex-clad freak lives here? He's fine once you get used to him. Anko replied quickly. You just need to nod whenever he says anything about youth, then try and get away before he does that sunset genjutsu. What's wrong with the sunset genjutsu? Naruto asked as he re-emerged from the kitchen, bowls and cutlery in his hands. Naruto's seen it so many times that he's immune. Anko explained to the 2 shell-shocked ninja. Heck, he's the one who helped Lee to learn it. Both Zabuza and Haku stared at Naruto, who shrugged helplessly. It was an accident. Anko shook her head and helped herself to some of the steaming stew, grabbing a couple of rolls to keep it company. Zabuza and Haku followed her lead and Haku took a small taste. Wow. This is really good. Thanks. Naruto said modestly as he filled his own bowl, but it's nowhere near as good as Gai-sensei's cooking. Bushibrow's cooking is better than this? Zabuza asked disbelievingly, looking at Anko for confirmation. When she nodded, his non-existent brows rose in shock. I think I can put up with him in that case. Gai-sensei often brings his team here for team-building meals. Naruto said with a smile. Kakashi-sensei said that now his team has improved, he might do the same. That reminds me. Anko said. Kurenai passed a message to me for you. The Hyuga clan wants to speak with you mid-afternoon. I'd suggest formal wear. Naruto stared at her. But Anko-sensei, I don't have any formal wear. I ordered some for you before we went to Wave, a formal kimono made of the same material as your normal things, as well as some funeral clothes since just in case. You never know when you might need them. Zabuza agreed. Naruto glared at them. Naruto paused and swallowed nervously at the sight of Hyuga Hayashi stood motionless in the entrance to the Hyuga grounds. Taking a deep breath, he resumed his walk. Don't panic so much, Kit. If things go wrong, you can always summon your sword and cut your way out. Thanks, Kyubi-sama. Naruto replied. I'm still nervous, though. What do you think they want? I have no idea, Kit, but I don't think it's anything bad. Just stay calm and composed, and don't break anything fragile. You know, doors, walls, mountains, that kind of stuff. Naruto managed not to laugh at Kyubi's joke as he covered the remaining distance to the entrance where, remembering the lessons Anko had drilled into him, he bowed. Good evening, Hyuga Hayashi-sama. Thank you for inviting me. Greetings, Kagetora Naruto-san. Thank you for responding to my request. Please, come with me. Don't ask what he wants, Kit. Kyubi warned before Naruto could open his mouth. He will tell you when he is ready, and not a moment before. Thanks again, Kyubi-sama. Naruto followed Hayashi to a private room where, to his surprise, Hinata was waiting. As they entered, she rose to her feet and bowed deeply to him. Feeling even more nervous than before, Naruto bowed back. Please, be seated. Naruto sat down as neatly, and carefully, as he could, feeling incredibly clumsy compared to how Hayashi and Hinata seemed to simply sink smoothly into a sitting position. Hayashi held out his hand and Hinata pulled a scroll out of her sleeve and handed it to him. Before we begin, I feel I must apologize for failing you, Naruto-san. Hayashi said, causing Naruto to blink in surprise. I was not amongst those who chose to remove your true lineage from you, nor was I one of those who stole the inheritance you were due, yet in both cases I failed to see justice done. Despite what the council may decree, know that I do indeed see you as the true son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, and I will be there to support you should you choose to reclaim your birthright. I thank you, but why? Naruto asked, totally confused. I don't understand. Hayashi sighed. The answer is complicated, but I will try to explain. My wife and your mother were close friends, we were two of the very few who were actually aware that your parents had married. My wife and your mother were such close friends that when they realized that Kushina was going to bear a son and Hitomi a daughter, they made an arrangement to try and bring our clans closer. This document is that arrangement. Hayashi handed the scroll over and Naruto slowly unrolled it. Kyubi-sama, do you understand any of this? Look down a little bit more I see. I think this is a marriage contract between you and that girl in the corner. A marriage contract between me and Hinata? Naruto exclaimed aloud, his eyes wide. Only if the two of you agree. Hayashi said placidly. I had almost forgotten the existence of this scroll since I did not know you were the son of my old friend until your lineage was revealed and Hinata found this scroll, which is not so much a marriage contract as a marriage option. What that means is that should you both agree, you will be married, if not, then the clan council will regain control over whom Hinata is to be married to. Naruto looked across at the blushing girl. Hinata, you found this scroll? Yais, Naruto-san. Naruto's next question died on his lips as Hinata's eyes met his. After a moment, he spoke. Hinata, before you say anything else, there is something you should know. If it's the Kyubi, I'll already know. Naruto stared at her in shock. You know? And you still? You are not the Kyubi, Naruto-kun. Hinata said quietly but firmly. You hold it, but you are not it, and only an idiot would think otherwise. I know you for yourself, and love you for it. For several seconds, a deep silence held the room, then Hinata suddenly blushed and fainted. Hinata Haim. Before Hinata could hit the ground, Naruto had managed to catch her, then he froze. Hayashi-sama, Naruto winced as he looked round, then his eyes widened as he saw the slight smile on Hayashi's face. I am glad to see that you care for her a great deal, Naruto-san. Hayashi said quietly. Now, we need to discuss certain arrangements. So, Enko chirped from her position on the settee, curled up in Iruka's lap as he frowned over the shogi board between him and Haku. How did it go? Naruto blinked a few times, then managed to pull himself out of his daze. It went amazing. He grinned, causing both Haku and Iruka to look up from their private war. Enko, I'm going to marry Hinata. She wants me and she's really, really nice and Hayashi approves. He even apologized for not managing to stop the council being so damned stupid. Enko's eyebrows rose in shock, then a wide grin plastered itself onto her face. The old stick actually apologized for something? Wow, he must really, really mean it. And you and Hinata are engaged? Naruto nodded, then he froze. Oh Kami, she said she wanted to move here, but all the bedrooms are taken. You still have spare barracks. Enko noted and Naruto shook his head. No. That won't work, I can't just dump her in the barracks, she needs her own room. I have an idea. Iruka said, interrupting Naruto before he could work himself into a panic. Since you want what is best for Hinata, how about Chapter 15, Preparations? What are we doing here? Kiba asked, looking round in confusion as they came to a stop outside the Hyuga compound. And where's Hinata? Hinata's inside. Kurenai said with a smile. She's been preparing for this mission for the last fortnight. Kiba gave Kurenai a confused look. That is an interesting statement. Shino said. Since this mission is a simple D-rank moving mission, transferring furniture and belongings from one place to another, when that fact is combined with your statement, it seems that we are here to aid Hinata-san in moving her items to a place outside the Hyuga grounds. Kiba stared at Shino and Kurenai nodded. Very good, Shino. Now, any idea where she's going? Kiba shrugged. So she's got her own apartment somewhere, right? Shino looked at the two guards at the door. From the lack of anger pheromones and your own actions, Kurenai-sensei, I deduce that Hinata-san is not being exiled from the Hyuga clan, which was the most probable reason for a Hyuga to leave the clan compound. In addition, Hinata-san was the subject of an unfortunate incident when she was 3, so wherever she is moving to must have security on par with the Hyuga clan if they are allowing her to leave without fuss. This implies another clan compound, which in turn implies a betrothal. Kurenai-sensei, is this Hinata-san's idea? Kurenai nodded with a smile. Yes, and her father approved. Then there is only one logical destination. Shino said. I thought I had seen them spending more time together since he returned from his mission. Who? Where? Kiba asked, his face showing that he had not followed the logic. Shino looked at him. Kiba, you may need to keep Akamaru close by your side when we arrive at our destination. You may enter. One of the guards interrupted. Kurenai nodded in thanks and led her 2 students inside to where her 3rd student was waiting, along with a giant white tiger. Kiba gulped as he looked at it. Oh Kami, we're headed there? Thank you for coming, Kiba-san, Shino-san, Kurenai-sensei. Hinata said with a small smile. Kyuka has agreed to carry some of the load for us. We're headed to Tiger Forest? We'll get eaten. Okay, despite the tigers, this place is pretty cool. Kiba said, looking round as he entered the bunker, Akamaru hiding in his jacket from the giant tigers that were watching him with idle curiosity. Up this way. Hinata said, ascending the stairs. My new rooms are up here. Rooms? Kiba asked, leaping up the stairs to follow his teammate. I thought that Kurenai said that all 6 bedrooms were taken? Who moved out? Naruto-kun arranged to have one of the barracks converted into my own apartment. Hinata explained. Since each of the barracks has a small bathroom at the end, it wasn't hard to refit it to give me a proper bathroom and a kitchen/living room for my own use, as well as a bedroom. Kiba stepped through the door after Hinata and looked round, his eyes wide as Hinata switched on the lights. Wow, nice place. Thank you, Hinata said as Shino and Kurenai entered. Before you ask, the bathroom's beyond my bedroom and this is the kitchen/living area. If you can put the scrolls and bags in that corner, please? Thank you. So you get a small apartment of your own here? Neat. Yes, Kiba, but when I marry Naruto-kun, we've agreed that he will move in here with me. Hinata smiled. This means that this flat is for Naruto-kun as well as myself. Where does this door lead? Kiba asked, opening the door set into the side of the room. That's the last of the barracks chambers. Hinata explained quickly. Naruto and I decided to keep it empty so that when we have children, we can put their rooms there. A logical and intelligent example of forethought. Shino said, studiously ignoring the blush on Hinata's face as he glanced through the open bedroom door. If that barracks is the same size as this one, you will be able to fit 5 bedrooms equal in size to your previous bedroom in it. Hinata's blush deepened as Kiba returned from exploring the empty barracks. This place is incredible. Hey, Hinata, can you give us a tour? Hinata-heim? Naruto-kun. Hinata vanished so fast that both Shino and Kiba were left staring at the place she had been standing. Did she learn Shunshin? No, she just ran very fast to meet her fiancé. Kurenai chuckled from the doorway. Come on. Kiba followed his sensei back down the stairs, where Hinata was just finishing giving Naruto a long kiss while Zabuza, Enko and Haku smirked at the scene before them. For almost a minute, Hinata and Naruto simply stared into each other's eyes, then they became aware of the people around them. Kiba managed not to laugh as Hinata promptly blushed bright red and retreated into her jacket while Naruto seemed rather dazed, taking a few moments to return to reality. It's always the quiet ones. Zabuza commented in an amused tone, causing the portions of Hinata that were still visible to turn even redder. We have some training soon, Kurenai said, catching their attention. Hinata, is Kyuka now your official partner? Hinata nodded as the aforementioned tiger ambled inside and settled down by her side. Kiba flinched. Oh hell, he's gonna eat Akamaru, I just know it. Kurenai corrected. And she's promised to leave Akamaru alone. The great tigers know about the Inuzuka and their dogs. In a way, they feel about humans how you feel about Akamaru. Kiba blinked. Hey, what? It's true, Naruto said. They only have one partnership jutsu with their human partners, not loads like the Inuzuka. Would you like to see it? Kiba nodded and Naruto gave a whistle. A moment later, Kaze ambled in and Kyuka nudged Hinata. Okay, Hinata-heim. Just as we practiced. Hinata nodded in response to Naruto's comment and scrambled onto Kyuka's back as Naruto vaulted onto Kaze's. Both Hinata and Naruto made several high-speed hand seals. Combination Kagetora clan technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. They both shouted and vanished in a cloud of smoke. When it vanished, it was to show Kaze and Kyuka both stood there, each with a virtually identical copy of themselves stood on their backs. The copies quickly stepped down and Kurenai walked over to take a closer look. I'm impressed, Naruto. The only way to tell the difference between you and Kaze is your eye color, she said with a smile. Naruto released a purr and walked over to Hinata, nuzzling her cheek. And Hinata, it looks like you have your Byakugan in this shape, Kurenai said slowly. Can you use it? Hinata concentrated, releasing a slight growl, and her eyes changed slightly, the fur beside her eyes suddenly ruffling up in a pattern very similar to the enlarged veins of a normal Byakugan. She blinked a few times, then nodded. Shino whistled in amazement. How long can you remain in this form? Hinata replied with a series of barks and growls and Shino facepalmed. Naruto can keep tiger form almost indefinitely due to his chakra levels. His strength has carried over as well, Enko said. We had Hayashi help with testing Hinata's tiger form and we think she can hold it for maybe 8 hours before she needs to rest. I'm impressed. Kiba said slowly. How long have you sorry? Anko-san, how long has Hinata been able to do that? Kyuka and Hinata managed to synchronize enough to do it 3 days ago. Anko said with a smile as Naruto playfully nipped at Hinata's tail and she responded by chasing him outside. Since then, Hinata's been learning how to move properly in that shape. That will help with long-distance missions. Kurenai said thoughtfully. If Kyuka agrees to carry 1 or 2 of us and Hinata carries whoever's left over when Hinata returns to normal, I'll have to talk with her about it. Hey, come here. Kiba called from the door. You gotta see this. Hinata just pinned Naruto for the 2nd time. Go Hinata. I wonder if she can use Jukin in tiger form? That would be scary. Moving on. Kurenai said firmly, pulling some papers from her pocket. These are the forms for the Chunin exams, which start next week and which I think you 3 are probably ready for. The choice is yours. If you think you are ready, fill out your form and return it to me as soon as possible. Kiba, here you go. Shino, this one's yours, which just leaves Wo. Hinata bounded past, snatching the form from Kurenai as she did so, pursued by Naruto who leapt onto her, only for her to roll over and end up on top of him. Pinned him again. Kiba laughed. Face it, Naruto, you can't win against Hinata. Heck, neither Shino or I can, and I've been using weights to get better. Both tigers vanished in a cloud of smoke as they reverted to their real forms. The smoke dissipated to show Hinata, still holding the Chunin form in her mouth, straddling Naruto's thighs, her hands pinning his shoulders to the floor. Zabuza promptly started laughing. Hinata, you may wish to consider what that looks like, Kurenai said. Hinata looked round in confusion, looked down and then threw herself off Naruto with a squeak, her face turning almost purple as she blushed furiously. Kurenai managed to turn her laughter into a cough. So, Anko, you putting Naruto into the exams? Hell, yeah, kid's more than ready. Anko gloated, pulling a familiar form out of her coat pocket. Problem is, the old geezer said that as Naruto had so many advantages, he'd be penalized in stage 2. I'm not entirely sure what the old man's planning, I know. Zabuza smirked. The Hokage asked me to proctor the 2nd stage. Ha, a chance to terrify a whole load of genin, should be fun. Ibiki's already giving me tips. I fear for my students already. Kurenai said with a smile. Okay team, practice time. The knock on the door sounded just as Hinata was placing the last of her new books, a gift from her father as a part of his ongoing apology to her, on the shelves. Come in. As Hinata turned, the door slid open and Naruto stood there with a smile on his face and a covered tray in his hands. I come bearing gifts, he said as he stepped in, proffering the tray. Hinata lifted the lid and her eyes lit with pleasure. Cinnamon rolls. Fresh from the oven. Naruto confirmed. I made them myself, I hope you like them. Hinata nodded, unable to speak since she was busy eating the one that she had grabbed from the tray. Naruto grinned at her and gently placed the tray on the table, lifting the lid again so that Hinata could take a second one, then he leaned forwards and kissed her cheek. You had some icing there, he said as she blushed. Hinata paused, then with a mischievous smile she placed a small blob of icing on her other cheek. Naruto grinned, kissed it and then kissed her forehead. I didn't have icing there. Hinata mock protested and Naruto shrugged. Not yet, you didn't. He teased, then he sat down on the sofa and motioned for Hinata to sit by him. Hinata, I actually came to ask for a favor in the exams tomorrow. Hinata turned to look at him. Well, 3 favors. First, if we end up on opposite sides, don't hold back against me. I don't want you to fail to get the promotion you deserve because I happen to get in your way. Only if you promise the same. Hinata half-whispered and Naruto nodded. Second, believe in yourself. You still doubt your strength occasionally. Don't. Inside, where it counts, you are probably stronger than me. Believe it, believe me, and most of all, believe in yourself. Hinata nodded, the half-devoured cinnamon roll in her hands forgotten. I'll try. And the third? Kakashi-sensei confirmed that the Chunin exams can be dangerous. Naruto stated. The third favor, don't die, Hinata. We've only truly been together a few weeks, you've only been here less than a week, yet you've become my most precious person. Please, be careful. Hinata felt her eyes fill with tears and she leaned across to kiss Naruto on the cheek. You promised that too. I didn't go to all that effort in chasing you to lose you. I promise. Naruto whispered, lightly hugging her. You have my word, and I never break my word. For several minutes, they sat there, simply enjoying each other's presence, then Naruto sighed. It's getting late, and we both need a good night's sleep for tomorrow. Hinata sighed. I suppose so, but I just got comfortable. Yeah, so had I, Naruto admitted, trying to hide a yawn. Well, I suppose another 5 minutes won't make a difference. Zabuza emerged from his room adjusting his mask. Rubbing his eyes in an attempt to finish waking up, he turned towards the stars and paused as he saw Anko, Haku, Kakashi and Dai all outside the open door to Hinata's apartment, several of them holding cameras. As he approached, Haku motioned for him to be quiet. What's up? Zabuza whispered, curiosity roused. What are you all okay? That's just too damned cute. Damn it, where's my camera? Haku smirked, holding up Zabuza's camera, then he turned back and looked at the sofa where Hinata was fast asleep, curled up in Naruto's lap with her head nestled against the side of his neck and his arms holding her protectively, coincidentally holding the blanket in place. Who provided the blanket? Zabuza asked quietly. If they thought they needed a blanket, they'd probably have just gone to bed. Anko blushed slightly. Why, Anko? Kakashi teased. I didn't know you cared about them that much. Actually, it was me. Came a voice and everyone looked round to see Iruka standing behind them, shirtless and with a mug of coffee in his hand. I saw the light on, checked and found them like that, so I grabbed the blanket from Hinata's bed to keep them warm and switched off the light. Then he returned to keep me warm. Anko giggled. For a few more minutes, everyone watched the sleeping couple, then Zabuza spoke up. So, who's going to wake them? After all, they do have that test to attend today. Everyone glared at him. What? Hush! Naruto whispered just loud enough for them to hear. You'll wake up Hinata. You're awake too? Hinata asked, lifting her head to look at him. I thought you were asleep and I didn't want to wake you up. How long have you been awake? About half an hour. Naruto said slowly. You? Bit longer than that. Hinata admitted, doing her best to ignore the laughter coming from the group in the door. I guess this means it's time to get up. Chapter 16, Assembling for the Test. Hey, let me go, you bully. Naruto turned towards the small child's cry, as did Kaze. Concentrating briefly, Naruto used his newly mastered Shunshin to move to the rooftops, then a second one to where the black-clad ninja with the odd face paint was holding the boy who he recognized as the Hokage's grandson. A surge of chakra informed him that Kaze had followed him. What the hell? The face-painted one gasped, pointing at Kaze. What is that thing? Where did it come from? His name is Kaze, and he is my companion. Naruto said, stepping forwards and placing his hand gently on the ninja's arm. Please put Konohamaru down. The brat ran into me. The ninja snarled. I said sorry. Konohamaru yelled and Naruto paused as he processed the odd sense, then flexed his spare hand. Come. The Kitsune's claw materialized in his hand, the blade just shy of touching the wrapped bundle on the back of the ninja. The ninja froze and Naruto looked across at the blonde female ninja staring at him in shock. From your headbands, I see you are from Suna. He said calmly. Your fan shows you to be a wind user, while the one whose head I am holding my sword above is a puppet user, one using his puppet to try and intimidate the Hokage's grandson, even though that is a stupid thing to do. As you are unescorted, I assume you are here for the Chunin exams, yes? For several seconds, no one moved, then Konohamaru was dropped onto the ground. How did you know that? Who are you? The girl asked. My name is Kagetora Naruto and my companion is Kaze. Naruto said as he replaced his sword, letting it adhere to his back. May I know your names? I'm Temari no Sabaku, this is my brother, Kankuro. Naruto inhaled deeply. And the other who smells of your lineage? The one in the tree who smells of blood, death, sand and, for some reason, tanukis? Kankuro and Temari both spun round to see a figure appear. Gaara Kankuro stuttered. Kid, that boy holds the Shikaku, the one-tail who controls sand. From the way his yokai's leaking, his seal must be pretty bad. So you're Gaara, the one who is the first of the 9. Naruto said slowly, hiding a smirk as Gaara's eyes widened. I am honored to meet you. I am Kagetora Naruto, the one who is 9th of the 9. Perhaps we can speak about Fuin Jutsu and the effects if misapplied sometime. Gaara stared at him and then sent Shinshin to stand beside his siblings. Kankuro, Temari, we are leaving. Now. The other two swallowed and moved away, occasionally glancing behind them as they did so. How did you do that with your sword? Konohamaru asked, eyes wide. Naruto looked down at him. A special seal in the metal lets me summon it. Are you all right? I'm fine. Konohamaru said, eyes fixed on Naruto's sword, then jumping to Kaze, who was looking at him with an amused expression. Wow, Gramps said the great tigers were big, but can I ride him, please? Kaze looked at him, then nodded and lay down. Naruto sighed. Hop on, then we'll talk. And when I defeat Gramps and become Hokage, no one will call me honorable grandson again, I hate being called that. Konohamaru finished. Naruto managed not to smile at the kid's overly simplistic outlook. You realize that there's more to be Hokage than just being the strongest? What do you mean? Naruto looked ahead, seeing the academy approaching. I talked about this a lot, not only with your grandfather, but with several others, Hitaki Kakashi, Mato Guy, Mitarashi Anko, Yuhi Kurenai. I got a good idea of the burdens of being Hokage. No, listen. To be a Hokage, you must not only be strong, you must be willing to make sacrifices for the village. You must be willing to send others, those you command and even members of your family, on suicide missions if required for the good of the village. You must be ready to deal with liars, charlatans, traitors and murderers and do so as if they were your most trusted aides while still remembering what they have done, all for the good of the village. You must be ready to place the village above what is good for any specific individual. You must balance the rules of the village and the demands of the council, balance the clans to prevent any of them getting too much power and remove those that threaten Konoha. As Hokage, you have no one to look up to direct you and tell you that you are doing the right thing. It is a lonely job, one where you must always be suspicious of those who agree with you since you cannot know whether they do so for the sake of the village, or because they wish to manipulate you. Being Hokage is a job that only those strong in body, mind and spirit can hope to do. Any shred of doubt can destroy you once you've reached that position, yet you need to constantly ask yourself if you are doing the right thing. Just because you are Hokage, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. If you doubt me, talk to your grandfather about it. And ask him to tell you about the son of the Yondaime who never existed, and why the rule preventing him from existing remains. Now, it's time for you to go. Naruto dropped down and carefully lifted Konohamaru down. Smiling at the now thoughtful and slightly confused child, Naruto moved towards the entrance and paused, looking at the crowd. I can just push through, but Kaze, let's go up. Moving to the side of the academy, Naruto simply walked up the wall towards the roof, years of practice letting him do it reflexively. Reaching the top, he swung over the ledge, onto the flat roof, Kaze at his heels. Naruto-kun. Wait! Naruto leaned over the edge and offered his hand first to Hinata, then to Kiba and Shino. Hyuga flowed over the edge and headbutted Kaze playfully. Your decision to circumnavigate the adversarial congregation and select an alternate route to the required destination was a move which I had not anticipated, but which upon reflection seemed to be the most efficient way to proceed. Shino said. Kiba looked at him. Avoiding the crowd was very clever and we decided to join you. Shino said. Kiba nodded in understanding. My eternal friend and rival, I saw you climb the wall and decided to follow your youthful example. A voice said and Naruto turned to grin at Lee and his two teammates. It was a drag getting up here, but it saves time and effort overall. Another voice sighed and Naruto turned to see Shikamaru and his team pull themselves up. Team 7 decided to go the troublesome way through the crowd. Naruto shrugged. Then let's head down. I think it was room 301, yes? So, 10 of the rookie 13 are here. A voice said. Naruto turned round to see a young silver-haired man approaching them, a smile on his face and a Konoha Hitayate on his head. And here come the final 3. A grunt announced Sasuke's arrival and Ino tried to pounce him, only to find herself suspended by Naruto's grip on her belt. Hey, what are you doing? You need to get your act together, Ino. Naruto said quietly. We're representing Konoha here, we need to be professional. He's absolutely right, the newcomer said as he pulled out a deck of cards and flipped through them. Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Yakushi Kabuto. This is my 7th attempt at the exams, so I've been around a bit and picked up quite a bit of info. For instance, we have 52 teams in this exam, or 154 genin here total since Naruto here counts as a team by himself, most of them from Konoha since we're the ones hosting it, but we also have a fair number of genin from Suna and Aim as well. Grass, Waterfall, and we even have a team from the newly created Sound Village as well, though I'm not quite sure how they will stand up since their village was just made last year and all. Since these teams are from other countries, you can expect them all to be among the top of their ranks in their villages. Now, these cards hold the information I've been able to gather on the participants. Anyone have someone they'd like to know about? For a few seconds, the genin looked at each other, then Naruto spoke. I encountered someone interesting earlier who smelled of blood, sand and death. Gaara no Sabaku. What can you tell me about him? Kabuto pulled out one of his blank cards and channeled chakra into it, causing writing and a picture of Gaara to appear on it. Gaara of the Sand. I don't have much info on him since this is his first exam, but it says that he's done 8 C-ranked missions and a B-ranked mission without getting a scratch? Damn, his teammates are his older siblings Kankuro and Temari and his Jonin sensei is named Baku. Sorry that I don't have more. He's a sand user. Naruto said, causing Kabuto to stare at him. Uses it as defense and offense. Huge chakra reserves, Kage level plus. I'd advise not going up against him if you can avoid it. He is bloodthirsty and from how his sand smelled, he's killed before. Quite a few times. Kabuto raised one eyebrow and pulled out another card. You've intrigued me, let's see, Kachitora Naruto, sole genin member of Team 11 under Jonin Mitarashi Anko, formerly the student of Hitaki Kakashi and Mado Gai. Your missions are 15D ranked, 5C ranked, 3B ranked and an A rank? Does it have my parentage? Naruto deadpanned and Kabuto shook his head. No, but it says you have medium to high kinjutsu skills, good taijutsu abilities, low jinjutsu and your strength is off the scale, probably because of your Kekkai Genkai. You have a great tiger that you are partnered with in the much same way that the Inuzuka use their dogs and your ninjutsu skills are ranked high. Overall, you've got better skills than most chunin and even some special jonin. Impressive. What have you got on Hyuga Hinata? Came a voice and everyone turned to see Niji looking at his cousin. Tell me about my cousin. Kabuto pulled out and activated another card. Hyuga Hinata. Part of Team 8 underneath Yuhi Kurenai with Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino as teammates. The runner-up for Kunoichi of the Year, her missions are 12D ranked and 3C ranked. A Byakugan wielder and Jukin user, but also trained in snake style under Mitarashi Enko. Chakra levels are higher than normal for a Hyuga. Taijutsu is about average, but she also has a partnership bond with a great tiger. It also says you are the Naruto's fiancé. Hinata blushed and hid her face in her jacket collar while Niji frowned thoughtfully. Since this is your first exam, the amount of information I have on you is limited. Kabuto shrugged. Naruto-san, thank you for that additional information about Gaara. I shall have to make certain that I avoid him. All right everyone, it's time for the exams to start. A man shouted from the front of the hall. The proctors will show you to your assigned seats. Once there, sit down and shut up. Naruto glanced round, suddenly wishing that Kaze and Kyuka hadn't decided to wait on the roof for them. Grandpa? Hiruzen looked up from the ever-equals growing paperwork to see his son standing in the doorway. Grandpa, can I talk to you? Of course. Hiruzen said with a smile, come in. What is it? Konohamaru walked round the desk and climbed into his grandfather's lap. I met that boy you kept talking about, Kagetora Naruto, today. He got me out of some trouble I was in and talked to me about being Hokage. I hadn't realized it was such a burden? Hiruzen suggested and Konohamaru nodded. If it's a burden, why do you do it? Because I can't trust anyone else to do it properly. Hiruzen said quietly. There are many who want the position of Hokage, but most of them want it for all the wrong reasons. They don't truly care about Konoha, they aren't willing to make the sacrifices that Konoha needs, they simply see the power of the position and want it for themselves, and to hell with anyone else. I cannot let someone like that become Hokage. Konohamaru frowned in thought. So what makes a good Hokage? Hard to say. Hiruzen mused. A good Hokage must be willing to sacrifice himself for the good of the village if needed. He must learn the abilities of those who report to him so that he can deploy them for the greatest effect, and he must learn their weaknesses so that he can prevent them from putting the village in danger. He must be able to lie and tell the truth with equal skill, must be able to negotiate from weakness and dictate from strength. A Hokage must be implacable in wars, defiant in defeat, magnanimous in victory and gentle in peacetime. And a Hokage must be willing to face every day the greatest enemy that a Kage can have, an enemy that is soul-destroying and always returns. Konohamaru stared at him. Paperwork. Chapter 17, The First Test. Paperwork. Naruto stared at the test in front of him with hatred normally reserved for the council members who had voted to strip him of his heritage. The sheet of paper and somehow survived his glare, failing to ignite or shred under his aggravated gaze. Now that everyone's seated, pay attention. Growled the large black-clad man at the front of the room. Naruto looked up and frowned slightly. I know I've never seen him before, so why does he seem so familiar? My name, for those of you who don't know it, is Marino Ibiki. The man said and Naruto jolted in his seat. The movement attracted Ibiki's gaze. You have something you want to say, Genin? My sensei talks about you all the time. Naruto blurted before he could stop himself. Ibiki raised an eyebrow. And your sensei would be? Mitarashi Enko. Naruto replied and quite a few of the other genin spun in their seats to stare wide-eyed at him. Ibiki merely nodded. Then you would be Kagetora Naruto. She's mentioned you, I'll be keeping an especially close eye on you if even half of what she said is true. Several of the genin chuckled and Ibiki glared at them, causing them to freeze under his gaze. Time to begin. The rules are simple, each team starts with 10 points. Each time you are caught cheating, you lose 2 points. Whenever a team loses all their points, they are out. There are 10 questions to answer, 9 of them are on the sheets in front of you, the 10th will be revealed in 3/4 of an hour. You will not leave your seats unless accompanied by a proctor, raise your hand for attention if you need it. Naruto, since you have no teammates in this test with you, you will start with 6 points instead of 10. Any questions? Tough. Turn over your sheet and begin. Naruto flipped the sheet over and his eyes widened as he saw the questions. What? These are Jonin-level questions, not Chunin. How can they expect us to cheat? Right, let's see. Kabuki said that there were 154 genin, but this hall has 20 rows of 8, which is 160. There aren't any spaces, so that means that 6 genin are not actually taking the test and are therefore plants, so I should find and copy one of them. Naruto glanced round, then he saw Hinata make a familiar motion 3 rows in front of him. Hinata's obviously worked it out and is using her Byakugan. Maybe I can copy off her? Let's see if I can use that trick that Kaze taught me. Naruto picked up his pencil and half-closed his eyes. Calling on the meditation practice that Guy had drilled him in, he channeled extra chakra to his ears, identifying and discarding all the noise around him until all he could hear was Hinata's slight movements and the scrape of pencil against paper as she started to write. Using the sound to direct his own pencil, Naruto was soon filling the 9th question space when he glanced down at what he had written. Naruto-kun, after this exam, you are going to tell me how you did that, preferably while treating me to a romantic dinner. And, if you are nice enough, you can treat me to breakfast too. It took all of Naruto's willpower not to laugh, but when he realized what Hinata was saying with her postscript, he felt his cheeks almost burning as he blushed furiously. Looking across at Hinata, he gave a slow nod and thumbs up. In the depths of his mind, he could hear the Kyuubi sniggering at him. All right, pencils down. Naruto took the command as a chance to glance around him. Almost half the desks were vacated, the genin in question having been caught cheating too many times and expelled. At the front of the room, Ibiki glared at them. You've done well so far, but this is where the rules change. Before I give the 10th question, be aware that getting it wrong means not only that you are expelled with your team, but that you will never be allowed to participate in another Chunin exam again. Naruto frowned as cries of outrage and denial rose around him. Something's wrong. Ibiki-san doesn't have that kind of authority anywhere else, and I doubt that Konoha would be willing to let someone's career just die that way. What could he be up to? If anyone wishes to avoid this by leaving, they can do so now, but if anyone chooses to resign, their team goes with them. Several genin rose, with apologetic glances to their angry teammates, and made their way to the door. Naruto glanced round. I think I have this figured out, but let's thin the herd. The weak links are Sakura and Ino. Tenten and Hinata are both very strong, and most of the other boys are either too arrogant, self-confident or intelligent to simply quit. So as soon as I see Ino or Sakura move, I need to do something to boost their self-confidence, or persuade them to stay put. After another minute of silence, Sakura started to rise and Naruto slammed his hand against his desk, causing it to shatter in a cloud of splinters. Ibiki, you've played with our minds long enough. Just give us the damned question already. None of us are going to back down now. We're not cowards. Sakura slumped back into her seat. Ibiki glared at him, then sighed. All right. Everyone in? No one wants to wait until next time? Very well then. Prepare yourselves, the 10th question has been answered. You all pass. For a breathless sliver of eternity, the hall remained silent, and then half the students reacted. What? Ibiki held up his hand for silence. The 10th question was whether or not you were willing to gamble on a possible victory with incomplete information. There will come a time when you have a mission, but you lack the information to know the safest way to do it. Will you go on, or retreat? This was a test of your courage and, for almost all of you, your belief in your teammates. Naruto sighed in relief. Then what about the other 9 questions? Kiba shouted. A test of your ability to evade detection. Ibiki said. Something that you will need as a ninja. Ibiki removed his bandana, revealing numerous scars and wounds. You see these scars? I got them when I failed to avoid detection on a mission. I was captured, tortured, interrogated for weeks. I was rescued by my team, but my scars were beyond healing by then. Someday, you may have to face what I did, suffering with only the hope of your teammates completing their mission to sustain you. The life of a shinobi, the life you have all chosen, is not an easy one. As Ibiki replaced his headband, a slab of ice formed by his side. A moment later, a familiar figure seemed to fade into view, and then stepped out of the ice sheet. Haku. Ibiki-san. Haku said with a slight bow. I am here to direct those who have passed the first test. Ibiki nodded and stepped back as Haku turned to face the remaining genin. 73 genin, Ibiki. Well, my father will cut that number in half, at least. Please make your way to Training Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Those of you who do not know where it is, please follow those who do. You are to be there by noon. Haku stepped back into his ice mirror and faded from view, then the mirror cracked and collapsed in a pile of ice shards. That is a nice trick. Kiba said, off-filling his voice before looking round and seeing that most of the genin were already headed towards the door. Hey, wait! Ibiki looked up as one of the proctors marking the test snorted with laughter. What? Anyone know who would call Naruto Naruto-kun? The Chunin asked. Sounds like Hyuga Hinata, said a female Chunin. I heard that she's engaged to him. Why? Whoever has her sheet, please read the last part of the answer to question 9. Ibiki shuffled through the papers in front of him and found that he had the sheet in question. Glancing quickly down the answers, noting in passing that all of them were answered correctly, he paused at the last 2 lines. She wrote a question for Naruto. Ibiki said. And she does indeed call him Naruto-kun. How did you know? I think Naruto copied from her somehow. The Chunin grinned. Is the last bit on her paper Naruto-kun? After this exam, you are going to tell me how you did that, preferably while treating me to a romantic dinner. And, if you are nice enough, you can treat me to breakfast too. Ibiki nodded. That's it, word for word. She was 3 rows in front of him and 1 sideways. How do you think he did it? And why would he copy that bit if he could see it? Not a clue. The Chunin laughed as several of the others in the room snickered and giggled. I think that we should ask Hinata about it after he's explained it to her. And after he's treated her to breakfast. Ibiki smiled slightly as most of the other Chunin gave up and started to laugh. The crowd of genin flinched as a giant sword hurtled overhead and embedded itself into a tree. A moment later, a tall masked man appeared on the sword, glaring at the assembled genin below. Listen up, maggots! He shouted. I am Momochi Zabuza no Kagetora, demon of the bloody mist and now Jonin of Konoha. And you have the honor of being my first group of victims. Welcome to the second stage of the genin exams which take place in the Forest of Death. The assembled participants stared at him silently with the exception of the Kiri ninjas, most of whom were sweating and whimpering. Before you can proceed, you need to sign a form releasing Konoha of liability of any injuries you sustain, or indeed any responsibility should you die, and some of you will die. Once each team has signed the form, you will receive either a Heaven Scroll or an Earth Scroll, like these. Standing below Zabuza, Haku held up 2 scrolls so that everyone could see the writing on them. Your task is simple, obtain one of each scroll and make your way to the central tower. Your time limit is 5 days. There is no upper limit on the number of scrolls you can obtain, but the longer you remain in the forest, the more likely you are to be attacked. Remember that you need your whole team to finish, so if one of your teammates dies, you cannot pass. There is, however, one exception to the 2-scroll rule. Here we have the special scroll, which will be held by Kagetora Naruto. For him to finish, he needs to keep this scroll and obtain both a Heaven and Earth Scroll. If anyone else manages to get the scroll off him, it is a reverse summoning scroll. Have your team place a drop of blood in each of the 3 seals and you will be transported to the tower where you will be given an automatic pass, irrespective of the number of scrolls you have. It will not, however, work for Naruto. Before you try to attack him, know that he was trained by Mado Gai, Hitaki Kakashi and Mitarashi Anko. There is a reason we are making it harder for him, and it's to give the rest of you bastards a chance. The tent is over there. Fill out your form, grab your scroll and get to the gate you are assigned to. Move. This will be easy. Kaze growled, we already know the forest in its entirety, we just need to ambush a few teams and take their scrolls. I would prefer not to kill if possible. Naruto said, glancing left and right. Kage snorted. We can do this, two-legged tiger cub. However, I would suggest you change shape for this. As long as you wear my shape, your scroll is safe. Naruto froze, then hit his forehead. I am such an idiot, I can't believe I forgot that. I will need to change back to take down the other teams, though. Use yourselves made of shadow thing and send them to do the fighting. They take down the enemy, you get the scroll and then we fade into the leaves. Naruto nodded slowly. Sounds like a good plan. Once we get the scrolls, though, I'd like to check on Hinata. She is with Master of Insects, runs like a wolf, white for great heart and blossoming flower in the morning dawn. She will be safe and we will meet her at the tower. Yeah, with Shino, Kiba, Akamaru and Kyuka, she'll be fine. Naruto admitted. It's just your heart and hers beat as one, your souls are intertwined. Kaze said understandingly. She makes you happy, truly happy, and you bring out the true strength in her. Together you are far more than either alone cannot worry. You have many hunts ahead of you both. Naruto nodded and reached up to stroke Kaze's head. Thanks. I have been considering tactics and believe the optimum path to victory would be for Hinata to utilize her special collaboration jutsu. Once she has done so, she and Kyuka can provide us with superior terrain traversing capabilities, while Hinata's Byakugan will allow us to locate and outmaneuver opposing teams. In addition, our adversaries will not be anticipating the appearance of a duo of highly intimidating felines. Kiba stared at him. Shino. Dumb it down for me please, you know I'm not that clever. Shino was saying that I should use my tiger form. Hinata explained. I would carry one of you and Kyuka would carry the other, and I could use my Byakugan to see where other teams are. Kiba nodded, then looked sadly at Akamaru. We've really got to grow up fast, Akamaru. We're being left behind again, even with weight training. Oh, speaking of which. Kiba quickly removed the metal bracelets from his wrists and ankles, sealing them into a small scroll. Standing up again, he took a few steps and bounced up and down with a grin. Wow, those chakra weights were the best investment I ever made for myself. Okay, I'm at full speed and strength now, nowhere near Naruto, but good against anyone else. Attention all genin, this is a 1-minute warning. The test will begin in 1 minute, prepare to enter when the gates open. You will have 30 seconds to enter once the gates open, failure to enter will result in disqualification. 45 seconds until entry. Kyuka hauled herself to her feet and moved to the sliding gate, Hinata by her side. Everyone ready? I am fully prepared. Bring it on. Arf. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. The gates opened and Team 8 darted into the waiting forest. Chapter 18, The Forest of Death. The forest echoed with the noise of the wildlife that inhabited it, creatures that would pose a threat to any ninja. Not, however, to the 2 giant tigers prowling through the undergrowth. Another trail, this one's not a Konoha team. Kaze growled. The other tiger looked at him. Which way were they heading, and do any smell of sand, blood and tanuki? Kaze shook his head. You really have a thing about this guard, don't you? Is he really that bad? He holds a demon inside, like I do, but he reeks of death and killing. Kyubi warned me not to try and take him down in anything like a fair fight, and that even an ambush would probably not work. Kaze shrugged. This team smells of metal and rust, I think it is from the place called Rain. Naruto nodded and followed Kaze as he led the way towards their chosen targets. Combination Kagetora Clan Technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. Kiba whistled in appreciation as the smoke dispersed to reveal 2 Kyukas. The upper one dropped down and moved across to Shino, while the original took station by Kiba and waited for him to scramble on. So Kiba said thoughtfully. Any teams nearby? Hinata nodded and the 2 tigers started to prowl through the forest. Shino concentrated and a small cloud of bugs appeared from his sleeve and flew through the forest ahead of them. After a few minutes, one of the bugs returned. Our opponents carry the scent of metal, Shino stated. I would guess that they are from the Rain Village. Cool. Kiba smirked. We can see just how tough they are. Hinata growled in agreement. Well, this is messed up. The 3 rain ninja looked in shock at the force surrounding them. Most of the clearing was ringed by almost 100 Kage Bunshin of Kaze and Naruto, the latter holding an enormous sword in his hand. The part not covered by Naruto was held by Hinata, Shino, Kiba, Akamaru and Kyuka. Naruto-kun, I didn't know you were after these people too. Naruto shrugged. Well, they don't stand a chance against me and you 5 could probably flatten them without breaking a sweat. Rainin, what scroll do you 3 have? The Rain Kunoichi held up a scroll and Kiba cursed. Earth scroll. Damn it, we needed a heaven scroll. Shino shrugged. Then we shall find one. Naruto-san, Hinata would be most irate with us if we tried to take your scroll, so this one is yours. Would you like aid, or will you deal with them yourself? The 3 Rainin looked at each other, then the leader nodded with a sigh and made a hand motion. The Kunoichi slowly placed the scroll on the ground and backed away as one of the Naruto Bunshins scooped it up. Naruto-kun, Hinata asked, how does Kaze manage to do that many Kage Bunshin? I thought only you had such reserves. Naruto laughed, rubbing the back of his head. Actually, it's like the other technique. When I do a Kage Bunshin, Kaze matches his chakra to mine and while Hinata nodded. That's very clever, Naruto-kun. Naruto grinned. Well, I've got a heaven scroll to find, and so do you. See you at the tower, Hinata-chan. You 2, Kyuka, Shino, Kiba and Akamaru. Most of the Bunshins vanished in clouds of smoke, and when the Rainin looked round, it was to find themselves alone once more. After a few tense minutes, the leader sighed. New plan. Let's get the hell out of here. The gate's that way. Before you turn back into a tiger, we need to find some way to communicate better. Kiba said, then he looked round. What? Communicate better? Hinata repeated, her eyes sparkling with suppressed mirth. Who are you and what have you done with our Kiba? Very funny. Kiba grumped. Seriously, we need to know what you see, and as a tiger, you can't tell us. Hinata nodded. All right, how about this? I'll stay human until we get our heaven scroll, then turn tiger and get us to the tower as fast as possible. That sound like a good compromise? It is an excellent suggestion. Shino said. Hinata's enhanced feline mode is far superior in terms of mobility, although remaining human indeed provides much-needed vocal interaction during exploratory reconnaissance. Kiba stared at him and Shino sighed. As tiger, Hinata moves better. As human, she can talk to describe things. Kiba nodded, then Akamaru let out several soft barks and whines. Hey, Akamaru sends another team, that way. Kyuka growled slightly and Hinata nodded. I agree. Akamaru has a very good nose. Kiba glowed with pride. Let's go. What are the odds? Kiba growled as their defeated adversaries retreated. 3 teams, all with the Earth Scroll. Are there any Heaven Scrolls at all out there? Shino nodded, frustration evident on his face. The odds do seem to be somewhat against us. If I were a religious person, I would assume that Kami was playing a joke on us. We can't give up. Hinata said with a frown. We have 3 Earth Scrolls, maybe we can find a team who have several Heaven Scrolls and simply trade? Trade? Kiba scoffed, and Shino lightly slapped him on the back of his head. The possibility of resolving our current state without violence is one that should not be discounted. Shino said sternly. Admittedly, it is not without risks of its own, given the possibility of ambush and betrayal, but it is nonetheless a definite possibility. Akamaru yipped and Kiba looked up. Another 2 teams over that way. Let's go. Needle Storm. Team 8 watched from their concealed location as the ninja threw his umbrella into the air. The umbrella spun, unleashing a near-solid wave of sunbon which slashed down and embedded in a sand shield that seemed to materialize around the red-haired Suna genin. How did you do that? Your technique is useless against me. Now you shall validate my existence. Sand coffin. More sand poured out of the gourd on the boy's back and engulfed the trio of older ninja. Sand burial. The sand surrounding the trio contracted, blood leaking through, then retreated, leaving 3 broken corpses behind. The Suna Kunoichi moved over and, disgust evident on her face, pulled a scroll from the corpse of the leader and looked at it. Hey, this is an earth scroll, we can head for the tower now. Team 8 watched the trio leave, then Hinata activated her Byakugan and moved towards one of the other corpses. Hinata, what are you doing? Kiba hissed. Hinata steeled herself and opened the top of the crushed corpse, revealing a scroll in the pocket. Pulling it out, she handed the scroll to Shino, then fled into the bushes and started to throw up. Shino looked at the scroll. A heaven scroll. He noted. We can head for the tower. Hinata finished throwing up and let Kiba pull her into a reassuring hug as she fought down her tears. Shino joined them, having stowed the scroll in one of his pockets. He just killed them. Hinata gasped. No mercy, nothing. No wonder Naruto warned us against him. Kiba said, shaken. If I go up against him, I'm going to forfeit at once. That sand of his, I do not believe I will be able to counter his abilities either. Shino said. It is agreed, none of us are to accept a fight against Gaara of Suna. Hinata nodded as Kyuka licked the tears from her cheeks. There is no rush. Shino said. We are in a concealed location. Take your time, Hinata, we still have several days left, more than enough time. Hinata nodded, then stood up. No, I just need to get going. Kyuka? Kyuka nodded and lay down, allowing Hinata to climb onto her back. Combination Kagetora clan technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. Kiba scooped up Akamaru and as Hinata stepped back down, he bowed to Kyuka, then scrambled onto her back as Shino accepted a ride from Hinata. The tower is that way, I would suggest that speed is our ally at this point. Hinata nodded and accelerated, following Kyuka as they wove between the trees, heading towards the tower. If qualities of heaven are your desire, acquire wisdom to take your mind higher. If earthly qualities are what you lack, train your body and prepare to attack when heaven and earth are open together. This perilous path will become righteous forever. This something is the secret way that guides us from this place today. Kiba frowned as Hinata finished reading the poem mounted on the wall. Qualities? Train? What the heck is that supposed to mean? It is simple. Shino said. We are supposed to open the heaven and earth scrolls here. The poem says that if we lack a heaven scroll, we should find one, if we lack an earth scroll, we should procure one, and that to advance safely, we need to have both scrolls and to open them here in order to advance. Hinata nodded and Kiba frowned. So we just open the scrolls? Then what? Only one way to find out. Hinata said as she accepted one of the scrolls from Shino. The two of them placed the scrolls on the floor and Shino unrolled his, then Hinata unrolled hers so that the two scrolls crossed. The scrolls started to emit smoke and both Hinata and Shino retreated rapidly, Hinata dropping into a modified Jukin stance as Shino summoned a swarm of bugs. Kyuka prepared to pounce while Kiba dropped to all fours, Akamaru on his back. Interesting welcome. Irika-sensei? Hinata gasped as a familiar figure emerged from the smoke. What are you doing here? My job. Smiled the scarred genin. I'm one of the ones who are tasked with welcoming the genin teams to the tower, congratulations on passing the second stage. Wahoo! Kiba shouted, leaping up, Akamaru balancing on his head and yipping with excitement. Irika smiled. So, you have another 4 days until this stage ends. We have several rooms for you to rest in, a food hall and other facilities including an onsen if you wish to clean up. Has anyone else arrived? Shino asked and Irika nodded. Yes, one of the teams from Suna arrived less than half an hour ago. The Sand siblings, I believe. Why? We saw them fighting. Hinata said quietly. I think we should avoid them. Especially Gaara. Irika raised an eyebrow. I see. Well, there are plenty of Umbu in the tower with orders to put a stop to any fighting, so as long as you don't start anything, you'll be safe. Now, this way, let's get you settled in. Chapter 19, The Forest of Snakes. Sasuke stood above the unconscious form of his adversary, smirking as he deactivated his Sharingan. His enemy had put up quite a fight, and he had acquired several new jutsus from it, as well as gaining some new taijutsu moves. But more importantly, he held an earth scroll in his hands, one which would allow them to head straight for the tower since they had started with a heaven scroll. Sasuke-kun, are you alright? Sasuke nodded, turning towards Sakura. His eyes widened as he saw her enemy almost embedded into a tree. She followed his gaze and blushed. He said I was a useless waste of space and that he was going to well, it wasn't nice. Ugly knocked him out with one punch. Sai said as he walked towards them, wiping his tanto with a piece of cloth torn from the corpse of his former adversary. My opponent didn't have the scroll. Sasuke held up his prize with a smirk. I got it. If we hurry, we may just set a new record. Kukuku, indeed you did get it. An unexpected voice chuckled and all 3 genin turned to see a kunoichi from grass appear. Sai's eyes widened. I am sensing far too much chakra for a normal genin. He said quietly but urgently. Her chakra level is very high, probably Kage level, and the way she moves I believe that retreat is the best option here. The mysterious kunoichi smirked. I saw your fight, you have wonderful eyes, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke drew his sword in a single, well-practiced movement as Sakura scurried behind him. Activating his Sharingan again and passing his scroll back to Sakura, he fixed his gaze on the intruder. Who are you and what do you want? A sword? How nice. The intruder smirked, then she opened her mouth. Sasuke froze in disgust as a snake emerged from between her lips, then it regurgitated a long sword which the kunoichi took hold of. The snake retreated back down the woman's throat and the kunoichi pointed her sword at Sasuke, her free hand making seals faster that even Sasuke with his Sharingan could follow. Great wind release. A blast of wind lifted Sai into the air, sending him above the trees and Sakura bit down on her scream. The kunoichi glanced at her, then back at Sasuke. Now that the only dangerous one of your team is gone, I think it is time to test your Kenjutsu skills. Sasuke adjusted his stance, then found himself defending against a huge number of strikes and slashes. Even with his Sharingan letting him follow the moves and adding them to his inventory, it was all he could do to avoid getting hurt. In a clashing of blades, the kunoichi retreated, her face cut by his desperate counter, but not bleeding. Sasuke stared at it in horror. What are you? The kunoichi reached up and peeled her face off, revealing another one underneath, a man's pale face with yellow, slitted eyes. I am one of the Sannin, Orochimaru. And you, Sasuke, are the reason I am here. The last of the Uchiha with the Sharingan eyes, how could I pass up such a prize? Ignoring Sakura whimpering behind him, Sasuke adjusted the grip on his blade. Orochimaru. He said thoughtfully. I've heard of you. The Sannin traitor, the one who searched only for power and betrayed his team for it. I am so happy that I am still famous. Orochimaru smirked, idly spinning his sword. You are no match for me, you know. Sasuke shrugged. Every minute I delay you is a minute that Sai has to fetch help. He's too annoying to die that easily. As if to underscore his words, a distant explosion sounded and Orochimaru looked thoughtful. He just destroyed my summons. Sasuke smirked. He's had practice. Anko-sensei trained us using summoned snakes. We are well aware of their strengths and their weaknesses. Ah, Anko-chan. Orochimaru smiled. My little student. How is she? You can ask her when she oversees your interrogation. Sasuke's eyes widened as he recognized Naruto's voice, and Orochimaru hurled himself sideways to avoid the impact. When the dust settled, it was to show Naruto standing in a crater, Kitsune's claw balanced across his shoulders. Hey, team. Thought you could use some help. Kaze's clone is carrying Inky to the tower to wait for you. He confirmed you have both scrolls. Sasuke nodded as Sakura aped behind him. Sakura, get on. Naruto commanded. He'll take you to Sai. Sai suffered a broken leg and will need help. The team and I will follow shortly, once we chop this freak up. Kukukukuku, and who are you to make such threats? Orochimaru taunted. Who am I? Naruto repeated. I am the friend of the great tigers, head of the Kagetora clan, wielder of the great sword Kitsune's claw. I am the one who possesses the as yet unnamed Kekkai Genkai of power and who was trained by no less than 4 of the greatest jonin of the village. I am the genin student of Mitarashi Anko and the beloved of Akunoichi who gave up her position of luxury and privilege because she wished to be with me. I am Kagetora Naruto, and I am one of the 2 who will prove to you that Konoha's will of fire cannot be defeated. During the speech, Sasuke had moved forwards to take his place by Naruto's side. Sasuke, you will need your Sharingan for this fight. Naruto said calmly. You already know most of the Kenjutsu moves I have, so I am not worried about that, but my jutsu are chakra intensive, and your reserves are not that large compared to mine. Copy if you wish, but make sure Kakashi knows which jutsu you are going to use before you try any of them out. This one at least will send you into a coma if you try it yourself. Tajuka Bunshin no Jutsu. The woods around them were suddenly filled with shadow clones, and Orochimaru looked round with an approving smile. Truly excellent, I have never seen someone create so many clones at once, and shadow clones at that. You may have more potential than that of the Uchiha boy. But you will never find out. Naruto said, placing his free hand on Sasuke's shoulder to restrain him. First group, attack. With a roar, 10 clones charged forwards and Orochimaru blurred into action, slashing and skewering the clones out of existence. Within seconds, they were all gone. Did you get any of that? Naruto asked, and Sasuke nodded, suddenly realizing why Naruto had held him back. Naruto grinned. Good, you can show me and Zabuza-sensei later. Second group, now. All other groups, deploy in order. 20 clones charged forwards and Orochimaru once again started his dance of death. Sakura tumbled off Kaze's back as quickly as she could and half ran to Sai's side. Kneeling down beside him, she opened up her medical pouch and pulled out a small scroll. Opening it up, she channeled some chakra into it, causing a bone-setting kit to appear in a puff of smoke. Hold still, she said, concentrating as she ran a medical diagnosis jutsu across Sai's obviously broken leg. Okay, I can't heal it, but I can set it and splint it. I'm afraid this may hurt. Bite on this. Sai took the kunai and placed the handle in his mouth as Sakura ripped apart the lower leg of his shorts and placed her hands above his fractured bone. Ready? Sai nodded, then closed his eyes. An instant later, he released a muffled shout as the white-hot agony of a broken bone being reset lanced up his leg. The throbbing pain slowly faded and he opened his eyes and looked down to see Sakura placing the splints and wrapping bandages around his thigh. As she finished, he removed the kunai from his mouth. What happened to Sasuke? Naruto's with him, Sakura said, looking out at the multi-kilometer forest. They're facing Orochimaru, the Sannin traitor. Sai noted. Given his current skill level, I do not believe that Sasuke will emerge victorious against him. Don't say that. Sakura protested hotly, then she took a deep breath. Don't say that. Sasuke by himself might not be able to win against Orochimaru, but he's with Naruto. Naruto managed to fight Zabuza to a standstill, and Zabuza's been training him, what's her name and Sasuke-kun, since. If anyone has a chance, it's him. Sai looked at her curiously. I thought you were scared of him. I am. Sakura admitted, wrapping her arms around herself as she leaned back against the side of the tower. I am terrified of him. I won't do a single thing that would risk annoying him, and I know that my mother now feels the same way. But he's gone out of his way to let me know that he doesn't hold me responsible for my mother's actions, that he knows I've told her to stop opposing him and that I'm going out of my way to avoid becoming a threat to him. He's forgiven me for the times I stupidly tried to side against him, and he's promised that as long as I remain loyal to Konoha, I'll be under his protection. So, yes, I am scared of him, but it's because I know what he is capable of, not because I'm stupid enough to get him angry at me personally. Sai stared at her, head tilted slightly as he pondered her words. How strong do you think he is? Sakura shrugged. I don't know. Anko-sensei said he's probably at Special Jonin by now and it's only political considerations holding him back. Once he blasts through the Chunin exams, he'll be another step towards becoming Hokage. Do you think he will become Hokage? Sakura lowered her head. One time, I'd have said no. Now that I've seen him in action and talked to those who actually know him, I think not only will he become Hokage, but he may just become the greatest Hokage ever. The last of the clones vanished, pierced through the heart by Orochimaru's blade, and Naruto looked at Sasuke. How much did you get? Almost 3/4. Sasuke said. Thanks for making sure the clones didn't block my line of sight. Naruto nodded and hefted his sword. Orochimaru's skilled, but my clones came close to overpowering him on several occasions. I'm stronger than him, but he's fast. I know you want to go it alone, not this time. Sasuke interrupted, moving into a low stance. You strike, I'll cover. Naruto nodded, then suddenly hurtled forwards, his sword sweeping down like a metallic thunderbolt. Orochimaru leapt back as the impact cratered the ground and then thrust forwards, only for his blade to be blocked by Sasuke. His eyes widened as Naruto thrust his sword forwards, punching it through his chest. Kuku, excellent. Sasuke's eyes widened as Orochimaru turned into mud and fell to the ground. A mud clone. Did you get it? No. I don't know when he switched. Sasuke retorted, spinning round to search the forest. Behind him, Naruto snatched the dagger off his belt and hurled it into the tree canopy. Did you get him? Wasn't aiming for him. Naruto said. Preparing for something else, something inspired by the man who wasn't my father. Sasuke blinked. I'm interested now. Orochimaru said as he stepped into view. So tell me, who is this man who wasn't your father? You look like a young Minato, so if it wasn't him, Kakashi maybe? I didn't know you had been adopted. Well, you can tell me all about it later. Keep your eyes on. Naruto warned. I think he's about to take things up a notch. Orochimaru smirked, then darted forwards, his sword flickering in a twisting thrust that Naruto barely managed to block. Sasuke lunged forwards to counterstrike, only for Orochimaru to leap sideways, unleashing a barrage of snakes from his sleeve. With a yelp, Sasuke flung himself backwards, unleashing a fireball that caused the snakes to vanish in puffs of smoke. What the hell? The harsh ring of metal on metal caught his attention and he looked up to see Orochimaru kicking a now disarmed Naruto away from him before leaping forwards, bringing his sword down in a powerful slash. Sasuke lunged forwards, knowing that he wouldn't be able to block the strike, but unwilling to let the only genin he truly respected die clang. Orochimaru's eyes weren't the only ones that widened in disbelief as his sword was blocked by the Kitsune's claw. How? Summoning seal. Naruto smirked as Sasuke slashed at Orochimaru, forcing him to retreat slightly. Allows me to call my sword to me whenever I want. Very clever. Orochimaru smirked as Naruto regained his footing. I underestimated you. Your strength is incredible, your speed excellent, and your skill is quite advanced. You are no match for me, but you are troublesome. Normally I would kill you where you stand, but if you let me do what I came to do, I will not only let you live, I will let you become my apprentice. Think about what you can learn. Naruto smirked as he grabbed Sasuke and swung him onto his back. Think about what you can learn from me. Watch and learn Orochimaru. Demon technique, reverse dagger summoning. Orochimaru's eyes widened in shock as a red chakra briefly surrounded the two boys and then it vanished, taking the duo with it. No. Sakura stared at the sight. She had almost wet herself in shock when a dagger that she recognized as Naruto's had buried itself up to the hilt in the tower wall barely 10 paces away from them. She had known just how far she was from where Sasuke was, and the strength of the throw required was inhuman. However, the dagger had done nothing for a while and she had almost forgotten about it as she tended to size cuts and scrapes under the watchful eye of Kaze. And then the dagger had suddenly glowed. Sakura had spun round just in time to see a flash of red light which faded to reveal Naruto with Sasuke clinging to his back. For almost a minute, no one moved, then Naruto spoke. You can get down now, team. We're at the tower. Sasuke glowered at Naruto as he dropped to the ground and resheathed his sword while Naruto reclaimed his dagger. Thanks. I owe you. Whatever jutsu scroll you want from the Uchiha library is yours. Make that 5, you helped me learn a great deal of that new sword style. Sakura stared wide-eyed at the two boys. She couldn't believe that Sasuke had just said that. Naruto grinned. How about you forgive me for the 1,000 years technique? Sasuke snorted. I forgave you that during my second genin test, dobe. Kakashi-sensei tried to do it to me and I managed to dodge it since I recognized what was going to happen. Nope, 5 jutsu scrolls once we finish this stage. On my honor as an Uchiha. But I will be practicing working that new style into my own. You may be better than me, but that doesn't mean I won't try to put up a fight. Thanks. Now, we need to part ways. You enter the tower while I wait for my clones to return with the scroll I need. Sasuke stared at him. What? You really think even I could have found and seized 2 scrolls that fast? My clones reported success just before I summoned us here. Sasuke paused, then nodded, giving the impression of a formal bow. Walking over to Sakura and Sai, he looked down at them. Can we get him into the tower? Sakura nodded and Sasuke crouched down, pulling Sai's arm across his shoulder. Standing up, he supported Sai as they moved towards the tower entrance. At the doorway, he paused and looked at Naruto. I still think you're a dobe, he said, but you just might make it to Hokage. And when you do, I'll support you when you reclaim your heritage, as long as you support me when I kill my brother for murdering my clan. I thought you wanted to do that alone. Naruto asked in honest curiosity and Sasuke laughed harshly. I thought so too, until I realized how much stronger than me Orochimaru was, and Itachi's stronger than him. I need to get a lot stronger to stand a chance against my brother. I knew that before, but I never really accepted it until now. Once this is over, will you tell me what training you got? I may not be able to do it myself, but it'll give me an idea of what I need to learn. Naruto nodded and Sasuke walked into the tower, Sakura trailing him in confusion. Chapter 20, The Central Tower. The cloud of smoke formed above the 3 open scrolls and dissipated to show Madarashi Anko. She looked at her student with a proud smile and tossed him a stick of dango. You made it, Gaki, and so fast, too. Anything interesting happen? Naruto shrugged. Not really. Used my clones to get one of the scrolls, collaborated with Hinata-chan's team to get the second, teamed up with Sasuke to hold off Orochimaru until we could escape Anko froze. Orochimaru? He's here? He's after Sasuke. Naruto confirmed. I think it's for his Sharingan. You may want to check with Kakashi, I'm sure he's got the story from his team by now. On the plus side, I think Sasuke really gets the idea of teamwork now. Anko stared at him, her plate of dango forgotten. How did you escape? I summoned myself and Sasuke to where I had thrown my dagger. Naruto said, holding up the kitsune's fong. It's a trick that only I can do due to my unique chakra. I bet Sensei Team was not happy. Anko smirked briefly, then she sobered. I need to tell the Hokage about this. Orochimaru being back is not good news. He swore to destroy Konoha. This is bad, but you should be safe here. Head in and claim a room. There's plenty of food available, including stuff for Kaze. Naruto nodded and Anko clapped him on his shoulder. When word gets round that you survived combat with Orochimaru, well, I think your promotion is in the bag. Nice work, Gaki, nice work. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned just in time to intercept Hinata's flying glomp. The impact knocked him back a few paces as he managed to not fall over, then he lightly hugged her back. At the table where Hinata had been sitting, Kiba waved while Shino righted the chair that Hinata had vacated as soon as Naruto had appeared. Hey, Hinata. I see you've got yourselves a heaven scroll. Hinata nodded and tightened her hug, burying her face into the side of his neck, then she released him, grabbed his hand and pulled him to her team's table. Once again, Naruto wondered how someone without his enhanced strength could pull him around so easily. Perhaps it was a secret jutsu that only girls knew. Reaching the table, Hinata sat down and Naruto took the seat beside her, smiling as Hinata promptly leaned against him, resting her head on his shoulder. He placed his arm around her and she sighed in contentment. It is good that you succeeded in finding the required scrolls, Naruto-san. Hinata-san was becoming worried that something bad had happened to you. Nah, I'm good. Naruto said with a smile. Had a bit of a sword fight with Sasuke, but we both got out of it without getting injured. You fought Sasuke? Kiba asked and Naruto shook his head. Nope. Me and Sasuke fought Orochimaru. He wasn't really trying and he wanted Sasuke unharmed, so we were able to hold him off long enough to get the rest of his team to safety, then he and I escaped. Hinata had lifted her head from his shoulder and was staring at him with mingled amazement, pride and horror. We saw the boy you had warned us about fighting. Shino said. He was absolutely merciless, he killed 3 genin with a single technique that crushed them in his sand. You were right about his sand being defensive as well, it created a shield around him that protected him from a rain of Senbon. I do not think that it was under his conscious control, it even blocked the Senbon from angles that he could not have seen. He's a Jinchuriki, like me. Naruto said. I hold the Kyubi no Kitsune inside me, keeping Konoha safe. Gaara holds the Ichibi, Shikaku, inside him, granting him control over sand. Shikaku probably provides him with the sand-controlling ability and the automatic defense. Kiba stared at Naruto. You're a Jinchuriki? Your father sealed the Kyubi into you? Shino, why aren't you surprised by this? I realized it on the day that Naruto's heritage as the son of the Yondaime Hokage was revealed. Shino said. His realization as to his parentage may have distracted most of the other students from what was revealed, but I paid attention to the lead-up to the revelation, and realized that the secret that was almost revealed that day was Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki. As to why I am not bothered by it, may I remind you that we of the Aburame clan know full well that having something inside us does not mean that we become that which we contain. I hold Kekkai, I am not one. Naruto holds the Kyubi, but he is not the Kyubi. Only a true idiot would think otherwise. Kiba frowned at him, then nodded slowly. I think I get it. It's like Naruto's the cup and the Kyubi's the water. The cup holds the water, but doesn't turn into it. Naruto nodded. Exactly right. I can call upon the Kyubi's chakra on occasion, even talk to him. I'm not the first Jinchuriki of the Kyubi, the first was Uzumaki Mido, the wife of the first Hokage, the second was Uzumaki Kushina. I became the third after Kyubi was freed during my birth and someone used a fully evolved Sharingan to force him to attack Konoha. Uzumaki Mido, the wife of the Shodaime and Uzumaki Kushina, the wife of the Yondaime. Shino stated. Interesting how both of the other Jinchuriki were Uzumaki. How did you know this? I have not come across any reference to it. I talked to the Kyuubi on occasion, that's how I know why he attacked Konoha. He was being controlled by a renegade Uchiha. Naruto shrugged. He's the one who gave me my Kekkai Genkai, although we both kind of screwed up a bit. I accidentally removed one of the limitation seals on me while he was upgrading my strength, and while end result was supercharged strength, more than he planned. Seals? Hinata asked, her face filled with concern. What seals? A dozen or so. Naruto replied, staring at nothing as he thought back. Several designed to limit my strength and coordination, 2 designed to kill me should I leave Konoha without permission or at the whim of the person who placed the seal, some memory degradation seals, 1 placed by the Yamanaka clan. I'll have to talk to Inoichi about that sometime, that kind of thing. Even a tracking seal. They're all gone, now. Naruto looked round to see the other 3 staring at him. People placed seals on you? Shino asked, and Naruto nodded. Yep, apparently had any more been added, it would have affected the main seal quite badly, probably killing me and releasing a very angry Kyuubi. Naruto said. At the moment, Kyuubi has access to all my senses, he can hear what I hear, see what I see, we can talk silently, he's very sarcastic at times. And if I let him, he can use his chakra. It's how I got my dagger and why I can summon my sword. Kyuubi modified it for me. That is so awesome. Kiba half shouted. And the tigers? Is that why you're their master? Their friend. Naruto corrected. Actually, it's a combination of my strength and willingness to wrestle them that first attracted their attention, then they learned a few tricks from observing me and decided that I'd make a great honorary tiger. From that point Naruto shrugged. Anyway, now I'm here, I need some food, then I need to get some rest. The room next to ours is free. Hinata said with a smile as Shino rose and headed over to where the food was. You can claim that one. Naruto opened his eyes as the door to his room opened and a figure slipped through. Kaze lifted his head, then settled down again, and Naruto caught a whiff of lilacs and violets. Hinata, is something wrong? Nope. Hinata whispered as she moved across to his bed. Lifting the sheet, she slid in and snuggled up to Naruto, resting her head on his shoulder. I just wanted my snuggly. Kaze coughed with laughter and Naruto glared at him. Laugh it up, furball. I don't laugh at you when you're chasing a lady tiger, do I? Hinata giggled and shifted slightly, giving Naruto a tight hug that would have caused anyone else to temporarily lose the ability to breathe. You've got stronger. Naruto noted, wrapping his arm lightly around her and stroking her face with his free hand. Hinata nodded. We all have. Kiba was shocked when I revealed how strong I was. He's been training hard to build up his strength and chakra reserves so that he can claim to be the brawn of the team again. Shino's also been training, he's been working on his taijutsu and weapons work. He uses a pair of scythes that he hides up his sleeves. Kiba's sticking to his clan's taijutsu, but he's using weights and has learned several new jutsu. He can hold his own against me in a spar again. The two of them lay in comfortable silence for several minutes, then Hinata spoke again. Naruto, how strong are you now? Hard to say. Naruto mused. I managed to hold off Orochimaru in the forest, but he wasn't trying all that hard. Zabuza-sensei says that I'm about equal to him in sword work, I just need more experience. Enko insists that I could make special jonin now. Overall, I think I'm fairly strong. As a clan head and my future husband should be. Hinata murmured, shifting again. Naruto tilted his head, resting his cheek against the top of her head, and she sighed in pleasure. Do Shino and Kiba know you're here? Yap, and if they know what's good for them, they won't say anything. Hinata smirked. Besides, we've had a long, hard day, and I thought I'd remind you that you're mine and I'm yours. Naruto smiled and relaxed. I'd say more the former than the latter. He joked and Hinata gently slapped his forehead before resuming hugging him. You know, it wasn't too long ago that you'd be fainting before even considering climbing into bed with me. Hinata shook her head slightly. No, she laughed, it wasn't too long ago that I'd faint because I thought about climbing into bed with you. Then Anko got her hands on me and taught me not to suppress my inner hentai so much. Your inner what? Naruto asked. Hinata giggled. Something that makes me have naughty thoughts. Anko taught me how to cope with them without passing out. Now I can enjoy as many naughty thoughts about you as I want. How did Anko help you? Or should I not ask? Orange books. Hinata smiled. She had me read orange books. Oh. Naruto realized. Like Kakashi-sensei reads. I've never read them, Guy-sensei says they're unyouthful. They're only unyouthful if you have no one to share them with. Hinata yawned, and Anko said that after the exams, we should take a week off to share them in my apartment. Preferably with the silencing seals up. Okay, Naruto admitted. I'm confused. I have no idea what you're talking about now. Good. Hinata sighed. That means you'll pay attention when it's time for you to learn. Naruto opened his mouth to ask her what she was talking about, then paused as he felt Hinata relax in a way that showed that she had fallen asleep. Good night, Hinata-heim. He whispered. Have nice dreams. Or naughty ones. Kaze snorted. Naruto glared at him again. Shut up, furball. Get up, lazybones. Kiba said, slamming the door open. It's breakfast time, and they have cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls. Hinata exclaimed, lunging out of bed. Where? Kiba started to laugh as Shino entered and handed a pile of neatly folded clothing to Hinata. We will be waiting downstairs for you while you and Naruto get dressed. Another 2 teams have shown up, one from Sound, the other your cousin's team. I would advise hurrying to ensure that there are some rolls left by the time you get down. Kiba, come. The door closed behind them and Hinata quickly stripped out of her nightwear and started to pull on her clothing before pausing and blushing, looking at Naruto. After a moment, Naruto closed his eyes and turned away as rustles of fabric told him that Hinata was finishing getting dressed. Okay, I'm done. See you at breakfast. Hinata almost flew out of the door, still blushing furiously as Naruto climbed out of bed. Pulling out a storage scroll, he unsealed a new outfit and got changed. It's funny how Precious Flower with Eyes of the Moon still acts embarrassed on occasion, especially given she's going to be your mate. Kaze noted as he stretched, reaching from one end of the room to the other. Naruto shrugged. She'll get better. Naruto said with a smile as he finished buckling his special sandals. Besides, she's walked in on me getting changed a few times, so it's not like it was unfair. I thought it was a 2-leg tradition to knock on the door before entering. Kaze said, sounding confused, and Naruto nodded. It is, but since Hinata and I are to get married, I told her that she's always welcome in my room without the need to knock. She's got several Eiffels and I swear that she was using the Byakugan at least once. Not that I mind, it's Hinata, after all. You 2 legs are so contradictory. Kaze laughed. Go, fill your stomach with food and your heart with your mate-to-be. I want to get back to sleep. Naruto grinned as he headed down to the dining hall, where the most beautiful Kunoichi in Konoha was waiting for him. Morning, Dobe. Team. Hinata looked confused as Naruto and Sasuke cheerfully insulted each other. I thought you 2 hated each other. She said. You know, the whole 1,000 years of pain incident and all that? Sasuke smirked. Nope, I needed reminding how much more I need to improve, and he did so. If not for him, my team would be dead and I'd be in Orochimaru's grasp. He figured it was worth 5 jutsu from the Uchiha vaults. Naruto commented. I need to get a few unpredictable jutsu into my repertoire anyway. My eternal rival, you are here also. Everyone turned to see Lee, Niji and Tenten entering the hall. Naruto leapt out of his seat and bounded across to Lee, apparently ignoring Niji's Byakugan enhanced glower. Lee-ni-san, it is good to see you so hale and hearty. Thank you, Naruto-ni-kun, it is wonderful to see you too. Why were you in bed with my cousin last night? Lee-ni-san. Naruto-ni-kun. I saw you with my Byakugan. Lee-ni-san. Naruto-ni-kun. I'm asking you a question. Lee-ni-san. Naruto-ni-kun. Look away now. Sakura shouted and everyone spun round. That is one heck of a technique. Kiba said, looking at the shadow of him cast by the sunset genjutsu. But why did he get Lee to do that? The light faded and they turned back, seeing Niji curled into a fetal position, rocking back and forth. I think Niji-ni-san was trying to intimidate Naruto, and that was his response. Hinata sighed. Excuse me a moment. Rising from her seat, Hinata walked over and crouched down beside Niji, giving him a hug. It's all right, Niji-ni-san, the genjutsu has faded, the youthfulness isn't going to hurt you, it's all right, you'd have thought he'd be used to that by now. Naruto shrugged, leading Lee and Tenten back to the table. Sakura tilted her head. Was Niji right? You slept in Hinata's bed last night? Of course not. Naruto exclaimed, looking shocked. No true shinobi would ever impose on a lady like that. I never even set so much as a single foot in her room last night, as Kiba and Shino can verify. Shino nodded in confirmation while Kiba grinned widely. Sakura nodded. So Niji was wrong. No, he was right. Hinata said, leading a shell-shocked Niji over and guiding him into a seat. I wanted my snuggly, so I went to him. Your snuggly? Sasuke repeated in disbelief. You call the one who fought Zabuza to a standstill, who held his own against Orochimaru, the one who can create an army of Kage Bunshin, your snuggly? Hinata blushed slightly as she nodded and Sasuke dropped his head into his hands. I can't deal with this right now. That's like calling one of your tigers furball. I do call them that, whenever they annoy me. Naruto grinned. Sasuke shook his head in disbelief. If anyone else said that, I wouldn't believe it. Naruto laughed. Chapter 21, Preliminary Knockouts Part 1. Naruto looked around as he stood in the large hall. Several other teams had made it, all of the Konoha 13 and another Konoha team, the Suna siblings and a trio from Sound. Given how many teams entered, I expected more to make it through. He noted. We sent Anbu to tell the teams that Orochimaru was known to have been in the forest. Anko said from just behind him. Half of the remaining teams bailed at that point. You're looking at those brave enough and skilled enough to win. Pay attention, the Hokage's about to speak. Naruto nodded and turned his attention to the raised dais at the front of the room where the Hokage was standing. An instant later, Anko appeared by his side and Naruto glanced back to see the Anko behind him vanish in a cloud of smoke. Ha, Kage Bunshin. All right, now pay attention. Anko said, her voice echoing through the hall. Lord Hokage is about to explain the third exam to you, so you'd better pay attention, maggots. Lord Hokage, they're all yours. Naruto has a smirk at how Anko had gone from commanding to respectful with that final sentence, then he hid his amusement as the Hokage stepped forwards. Ahem. First, before I tell you what the third exam entails, I want to explain something about the test itself. Listen closely now, it's something all of you need to understand. The hall seemed to go absolutely silent as the Hokage spoke. I'm going to tell you the true purpose of these exams. Why do you suppose our country holds these exams in conjunction with our allies? To raise the ability levels of the shinobi and increase friendship between allied nations, to be sure. But it's important you understand its true meaning. The exams are, so to speak, they're a representation of the battle between allied nations. Everyone seemed to inhale in shock at that. What's that supposed to mean? Tenten asked before she could stop herself. Now, if we look at our history, the Hokage continued, all the countries that we're currently allied with were once neighboring nations that continuously fought with each other for power. In order to avoid destroying each other's military strength meaninglessly, those countries picked champions to do battle on behalf of their countries at a mutually selected location. That was how the Chunin selection exams originally began. These exams give ninja a chance to test themselves against each other, carrying the pride of their nation on their backs. Many leaders and people of prominence from various countries are invited to attend this exam as guests, and to possibly seek shinobi to work for them. This exam could determine the course of your ninja work from here on out. And more importantly, those rulers will watch your battles, and take note of the strengths that each ninja, and each nation is developing. The strong nations are inundated with job requests for their ninja, while conversely, the requests for countries that are deemed weak decline. Therefore, the stronger our nation is, the better its position when it comes to negotiating with neighboring countries, so it is important to show how much military strength our village has. In other words, these exams are nothing less than a replacement for war, giving each nation a chance to show the strength of its shinobi, and thus the strength of its military. The hall remained silent as everyone considered the Hokage's speech, then a sickly-looking Jonin stepped forwards and Naruto smiled slightly as Hayate Gecko started speaking. We never expected so many of you to make it through, so we are holding a preliminary round of one-on-one duels to reduce your numbers. Before we do so, do any of you feel you cannot proceed any further? If you do, your team will not be penalized as the teamwork portion is over. For a moment, no one moved, then Kabuto raised his hand. My reserves are still depleted, I wouldn't be able to put up much of a fight. Hayate nodded as Kabuto made his way to the exit. There are 21 remaining, we wish to reduce the number to less than half of that. Does anyone volunteer to participate in more than one battle? I do. Naruto said, causing everyone to look at him. And to make it fairer, I'll allow my opponents to decide whether I use my sword, or if I fight alongside my great tiger partner, Kaze, instead. For several more seconds, everyone stared at him, then the Hokage chuckled. Confident, aren't you, Naruto? Well, with your Kekkai Genkai and training, how could you be otherwise? Very well. You fight twice. Gecko? The screens behind me will display the names of the participants for each round. Gecko said, and everyone looked up at the screens to see two names already displayed. Round 1 is Uchiha Sasuke against Okada Yoroi. Could everyone else please go up to the balcony to wait your turn? Naruto looked up and saw Kaze looking down at him from the balcony. Leaping up, he landed by Kaze and stroked his head. Looks like we get one heck of a view from up here. We do, Naruto-kun. Hinata said as she walked towards him, Kyuko by her side. That was quite a challenge you gave, will you be alright? I'll be fine. Naruto grinned. Let's watch Sasuke fight. Should be fun. In the battleground, Sasuke stood facing his opponent and Hayate stood between them. As proctor, I can call the fight for any reason. Should you not cease fighting when I command, I am allowed to use any means I deem necessary, even lethal force, to stop you. Do you understand? Both Sasuke and Okada nodded and Hayate took a step back. Begin! Okada advanced, hands ready to grab, but Sasuke leapt sideways and unsheathed his sword in a fluid motion, slicing into Okada's arm as he did so. As Okada jolted backwards, Sasuke stabbed him in the leg, sending him to the ground. I yield. Winner, Uchiha Sasuke. Hayate proclaimed. Shuji gulped as Naruto vaulted down from the balcony, landing lightly in front of him. Before Hayate could say anything, Naruto spoke. Your choice, Shuji. Do I use my sword or my cat? Shuji swallowed. Cat. Kaze rose, yawned and trotted down the stairs, coming to a halt behind Naruto before lying down. Naruto glanced at him, then back at Shuji, who swallowed before taking his stance. Begin! Naruto backflipped onto Kaze's shoulders and performed what to teammate was a very familiar sequence of hand seals. Combination Kagetora clan technique Great Tiger Henge no Jutsu. Holy shit! Shikamaru gasped as Naruto, now in his tiger shape, crawled towards a nervously sweating Chuji while Kaze rose and padded off to the edge of the arena. Hinata smiled. Chuji backed away, then paused, forming hand seals of his own. Body expansion technique, meat tank. Naruto paused as Chuji swelled up, his arms, legs and head vanishing into his clothing, then the now spherical Chuji rolled towards him, picking up speed rapidly. Flatten him! Ino yelled as Chuji thundered towards Naruto, then her face froze as Naruto pounced, rolled and flung Chuji into the air, using his paws to bat him upwards like an oversized ball of yarn. Hinata facepalmed. After a few moments of playing with Chuji, Naruto pushed him up so he flew high into the air, then rolled out of the way as he crashed back down to earth. As Chuji pulled himself out of the crater, Naruto pounced on him and fastened his jaws to the back of his neck. I yield. Chuji gasped and Naruto released him, backed away and returned to his human form. Good fight, Chuji. Naruto said, picking up the larger boy and effortlessly slinging him onto his back. Let's get you back to your team, hey. Hinata stood firm, Kyuka a reassuring presence just behind her, as her opponent stopped opposite her. Hyuga Hinata and Kanata Dosu, fight. Dosu started by striking his metal gauntlet, causing Kyuka to hiss, her ears folding back. You like that? He mocked. My melody arm is the perfect counter to that great big kitten of your what the hell? Kyuka reared up and slammed her front paws down, causing the ground to ripple and throwing Dosu off his feet. As he pulled himself up, Hinata landed in front of him. You are in range of my divination. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. Her hands seemed to blur and Dosu jolted as the precise strikes shut off his tenketsu. As Hinata finished, Dosu slumped to the ground, unable to move. Go, Hinata! Go, Kyuka! Naruto shouted with a wide grin as Kaze uttered a roar of victory. Nice one! High 8's winner, Hinata. Seemed almost redundant at that point. Prepare to lose. Ino declared and her opponent, Tsuchi-kin, laughed at her. I know how to avoid the jutsu of the Yamanaka. She declared, throwing a pair of bell-tagged senbon at Ino, forcing her to abandon her hand seals and dive sideways. As long as I keep you from doing that mind walk of yours, you are no match for me. Ino dodged another pair of senbon, then a third pair before starting to stagger, unable to concentrate. What's going on? Who does the bell ring for? It rings for you. Kin mocked, twitching some thin threads attached to the bells, causing them to ring even louder. I use the bells to cast my genjutsu, and you are caught. Surrender now before you lose. Never Ino managed and Kin laughed, throwing another set of belled senbon. Ino staggered as she tried to fight the effects of the auditory genjutsu, then she fell sideways and vomited. Kin released the genjutsu and threw a single senbon at her, spearing her in the thigh. That one was covered in a paralytic agent. She noted. It'll take a couple of days for it to wear off, but I have the antidote here. I think that I win. Winner, Kin. Height confirmed as he accepted the proffered vial. Medic. Hyuga Niji and Tsurugi Misumi, begin. Misumi lunged forwards, his arms and legs extending and twining around Niji's torso and limbs. Surrender now, or I'll break your neck. Misumi hissed. Kaiten. Misumi ricocheted off the wall and collapsed in a motionless heap as Niji brushed some dirt from his shoulder. For a moment, everyone was silent. I think I won that one. Niji said with a smirk. It was if you claim it was fate, you and I are going to have some extreme training afterwards. And that'll be after I get Lee and Guy to subject you to an extended sunset genjutsu. Naruto shouted. Niji flinched and Hinata laughed. Good move, though. Thank you, Naruto-san. Niji said, recovering his composure. Tenten smirked at her opponent, who responded by raising his arms to reveal holes in his palms. Temari no Sabuka and Abumizaki, begin. Abuma grinned and fired a blast of sound from his palm, only for it to bounce off Temari's quickly deployed fan. Oh hell, a wind user. Temari smirked and Abuma stepped backwards, launching another attack which Temari deflected just as effortlessly before swinging her fan in a complex pattern, fully opening it as she did so. Tornado! Abuma had just enough time to throw his hands up in a vain attempt to block the incoming attack before the wind blasted him into the air and against the wall. Temari's smirk grew as Abuma fell to the ground, both arms and one leg obviously broken by the impact. Winner, Temari. Aburame Shino, I forfeit. Ginma stared at Shino. What? I forfeit. Shino said. I am no match for Gaara of the desert, his abilities are too much for me to deal with. I have seen him in action, and I have no wish to die like his previous adversaries. I acknowledge that I am no match for him, and therefore I forfeit. Gaara glared at him as Hayate shrugged. Winner, Gaara. Shino returned to the balcony, ignoring Gaara's glare, and Hayate called out two more names. Higurashi Tenten and Kagetora Naruto. Chapter 22, Preliminary Knockouts Part 2. Higurashi Tenten and Kagetora Naruto. Naruto vaulted down to the floor and turned to see Tenten approaching down the stairs. As she approached, she nodded to him and he returned the greeting. Tenten, cat or sword? Sword. Tenten said, pulling out a small scroll and unsealing a katana. Fastening it to her belt, she pulled out another couple of scrolls. Naruto nodded and held out his hand. Come. Several of the genin gasped as the Kitsune's claw materialized in Naruto's grip, and he settled into a defensive stance. Two of Momochi Zabuza's students meeting in battle. He mused, glancing over to where Zabuza and Haku were standing, watching them. This will be a battle everyone will remember. Tenten nodded and flexed her fingers, letting 3 kunai drop into her hand ready to throw.